Awake yesterday as they walked their way to a loss to the Chicago White Sox, who won game number 39 of the Major League season. We have surpassed 100 games, by the way. White Sox now 39-68. Phillies fall to 60-46. Just 2 days before the trade deadline, Johnny. Good morning. How are we?
You sound really good.
Thanks.
You sound like you're off to a really good start this morning, like in a very good mental place.
I watched that game in its entirety last night.
Did you really?
Yes.
Okay, I checked out.
And I'm sitting there, and every inning I'm just waiting for something to happen for that Phillies team. They're up 2-0 early, right? 2-0 in the top of the third. White Sox
should have been 4-0, but Nick Castellanos was playing Topgolf.
Yep, that happened.
Swinging at balls that were not even within eight. His bat couldn't come a bat and a half.
Yeah. And then he had another at bat later on in the game with runners in scoring position where he did not come through. It was a great play by the pitcher on the little dribbler.
Really, yes.
Castellanos has struggled with that this year.
Sure.
White Sox tied in the bottom of the third, then take a lead in the fourth, then tack on two more in the eighth. Phillies lose 6-2 against the White Sox, man.
It happens. Look, dude.
I know it happens, but I can still be annoyed by it.
Okay, if they win this series, this will if they win 2 out of 3, everything's fine. Because you should win 2 out of 3.
You should.
So I mean, I don't go into any series saying I demand a sweep. So but against the White Sox, you should not lose the series.
Right, I don't demand a sweep, but I demand energy.
Oh well, they're not playing with energy.
They had none of it yesterday. You just came off of a very good series against the Yankees where you took 2 of 3. And
I don't think they had energy Sunday.
Exactly. So it's back-to-back days where
they travel
very little
too. That big travel to go from New York to Chicago. It's absolutely grueling for these professional athletes on their A-plus travel where someone carries their bags and they fly first class in a private charter.
Yeah, it must be. Christopher Sanchez spoke about that last night. Take a listen.
I don't like to make excuses, but yeah, we did have a long game. Yes, a long day yesterday, a really long day, and I felt a little sluggish. But also the weather was really humid today. But that was just a part of it. I did feel a little uncomfortable out there.
I don't want to make excuses, but let me make excuses. Now, look, Christopher Sanchez has been awesome this year.
Tremendous.
He gets an absolute pass for coming off like a whiny little bee. Okay, he gets an absolute pass. That's the last thing I'll say about it. That's it.
I just
wonder. That was ridiculous, Christopher.
I just need to ask them. Did they turn on the AC whenever Davis Martin pitched?
Seriously,
because Davis Martin pitched in the same humidity.
Oh my gosh.
The White Sox had 4 more hits in the same humidity. The White Sox did not commit an error like the Phillies did yesterday.
That is a quad A baseball club you were pitching to.
I just wanted to make sure that the White Sox played in the exact same conditions. The only thing that they had at their disposal was the lack of travel because they were at home in the previous series against the Cubbies.
And I'm telling you, going to if anyone's ever done New York to Chicago,
that's like a 2-day trip.
That hour flight on a first-class charter where they all have these really beautiful setup. It's unbelievable. Where somebody carries their bags, puts them on the plane for them. It's grueling.
Yeah, I don't need to hear that from Christopher Sanchez. I don't need to hear that from any player really ever.
And by the way, here's where I'm questioning the Phillies on this. Most of the time, in fact, very routinely in baseball, the next day's starting pitcher travels ahead.
Right.
And is not traveling with the team the day before. So if they have a flight like that, if anything happens, the next day's starting pitcher usually goes ahead. Oh, but wait a minute, though. There could be a reason for this. Saturday night was a big team night out in the city.
Okay.
And John Kruk talked about that. They've talked about it on the broadcast. They had a big team night out Saturday night in the city, so maybe he didn't want to miss that or something like that. I don't know.
Well, then he would have traveled Sunday.
I understand. Could have. Maybe it slept in. Maybe. I don't know. And then just took the regular flight. But whatever it was. It was a disaster last night. But Christopher has been boffo all year long. That is a blip on the radar. Not a worry.
I'll excuse his outing. I'm just not going to excuse the excuse. Because to me, that's ridiculous. All right, so yesterday on post-show headlines, which is something we do on our YouTube feed every single day after the show.
And we appreciate that more and more people are finding it.
Yeah, absolutely. Big numbers on yesterday's
Good. Thank
post-show
you for
headlines.
finding it.
So check it out. Go to Kincade Salciunas post-show headlines on YouTube. Just in the little search engine, you'll find them. And sometimes we talk about life. Sometimes we talk about things in the news outside of sports. Sometimes we talk about sports that aren't Philadelphia because I know local market. Sometimes people don't care about Shohei Ohtani, right? So we
Correct.
talk about stuff that we would like to talk about that maybe we don't on the air because we don't want Scott Masteller taking us down, right,
Because
Johnny?
he'll literally pick up the phone and take us out.
But sometimes we also just extend conversation, or we have sort of another branch to the tree of topics that we had during the course of the show. And you asked me a question that I found very interesting that I'm curious to see what the people say about this at 610-632-0975. You asked me if I was more excited or anxious about the trade deadline. And this was yesterday, so we were 3 days from the deadline. Today we are 2 days from the trade deadline.
That your answer hasn't changed, right? You're
No.
going to give your answer, but your answer has not changed.
My
Mine has
answer
not either.
is extremely anxious. Extremely anxious.
Really?
Yes, and it has nothing to do with what took place last night with all of the trade candidates, which we will get to in the following segment. I'm anxious because what have I been saying for months now, Connor? This team,
Trade all the prospects.
this team is not good enough to win the World Series. And it has nothing to do with just last night's game. It's just my feel and what I know about this team and the lack of pop from the right side, the way this lineup is constructed, this bullpen being trash. This team is a couple pieces away from being a World Series contender. And I'm sitting here waiting to see if Dave Dombrowski makes those moves. Does he part ways with prospects? Does he think twice and not part ways with prospects? These guys that we thought would become bullpen arms that were starting pitchers like Andrew Painter and Mick Abel, I don't know if that's a part of their plan anymore. Jesus Luzardo can't pitch out of the stretch. Let's put him into the bullpen. There's a lot of things that I am worried about that Dave Dombrowski might all of a sudden go, you know what? I have your solution, Austin Hayes, or a player of that sort of elk. Like I need more than Austin
or elk?
Sorry, I need more than Austin Hayes. I need more than Michael Lorenzen. Like I need a lot for this Phillies team to actually be legitimate World Series contenders, and that's why I'm anxious about it.
I think anxious is the word. It was weird because that conversation came up yesterday in our halls here. One of our salespeople, one of our MMR people, one of the others. And the word anxious came up about the trade deadline with them, too. And they didn't even watch post-show headlines yet.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of, God, I'm anxious about this because I wonder what they're going to do. Because I think people have come around away, something that I've been preaching for a while. This team is not good enough to be like, yep, they're a World Series team. No, they're not. They're not. You watch them night in, night out. You've watched them for 4 months now. You've gotten to see April, May, June, July. You know they are not good enough. And if you're watching them and you're telling me that you think they're good enough with what you've seen, you're lying to yourself. They're a two-man rotation right now, sometimes three. We're hoping Rangers it'll all come together. It'll all stretch. It'll be beautiful. If it's Ranger, Suarez, Wheeler, we think we have the best three. I think we have the best three. I think that could be the best three if that goes that way. That's awesome. So if you've got three, you think you've got something. But with this lineup, I don't think you got it. And there are ways you could potentially make them better. Yes. But then you go to the bullpen. To me, you need two plugs, maybe three.
One legit arm.
You need two legit.
And one veteran arm.
See, I think you need two legit arms. But the thing is, the veteran arm can be a sixth inning arm.
Right.
Can be a 3 outs in the seventh.
I think
guy.
you need like one plug and then a piece of tape over the plug, right? Like one.
Okay, look, you need one gigantic answer in the
right, for sure.
And
Top
then you need
end.
and
That's
then
the
you need
Bednar, that's
and then
the
you need
Duran.
one guy. How about this? And then you need one guy that every contending team has got.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't have to be ultra special.
Right.
He can be what's that? When you go to Walmart, what do you buy? The brand.
Oh, ShopRite Bowl and Basket, baby.
You go to the ShopRite. You buy that.
Bowl and basket's solid.
Hell
Yeah,
it
guess
is.
what? Well, then that's the kind of thing you need a reliever
You need a
that is
Chad
that brand.
Durbin.
Correct.
You need a Jeff Geary.
Correct.
You need a guy that can
And
go
you know
out
what?
there and get 3 outs.
You need an A-list brand, and then you need that. Here's the problem. I don't think there's an A-list brand to buy. I don't think there's an A-list brand to buy, boys.
Well, Bednar is available.
He's not an A-list brand. That's a B. That's a B, B plus. B plus.
I gave you the numbers yesterday. 4 of the last 5 years, he's got a sub.
Is he a closer? B plus?
He will be. He will be on this team.
He will be.
Well,
He will be.
Rob will play.
Okay.
Rob will play the matchup.
We're hoping he's going to be.
Rob will play the matchup.
Exactly.
All right, coming up next. So John and I are both anxious. Yesterday didn't help, and I'm not talking about the game against the White Sox where it was too hot and we were tired from traveling.
From New York to Chicago, for God's sakes.
No, what made it worse was the players who are linked to the Phillies. The good, the bad, and the ugly yesterday. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The summer's here, and you know what that means.
about the trade deadline 2 days from now. I'm anxious as hell because I think this season almost kind of stands on Thursday at 6 o'clock. And it's a wobbly surface that we're standing on.
So what are you?
Anxious as hell, man.
And we are.
And it's not like we're saying anything different than what we've been saying for a couple months now, that this team needs to get better at the trade deadline. And that is a problem that Dave Dombrowski started with the bad offseason. And you get to the trade deadline, and it's great that you have these deadlines in the middle of seasons for all sports because you can find a way to tinker with your team. This team needs more than a tinker. This team needs can't say complete overhaul, but man, they need a shop at some pretty high-end stores.
This team needs it's a drastic.
Yeah.
There's some drastic changes that have to be done.
So yesterday, wild day for all the players kind of linked to the Phillies, or a couple of players linked to the Phillies. I said the good, the bad, the ugly. I'll start with the good, I guess. Luis Robert Jr. played against the Phillies yesterday. He went oppo boppo, Johnny. I know you love hearing that.
I love that term. Yeah, that's not cliched at all.
He hit a 2-run home run yesterday against the Phillies, showing that he still has that pop. Is it there because he wanted to show the Phillies that it's there? Or did he just luck into one because he's hitting 205 this year, that his 11th home run of the season? But at least something good happened for one of the potential candidates. Not that we're pining for him, but he's been linked to the Phillies.
See, now I hate it because it's going to get the jabronis who have no idea who he is, but they've heard his name. They've never watched him play. And then they're going to watch him hit it, and they're going to be like, see, he's the guy the Phillies could get. That would be a big improvement. No, he's not. He is not an improvement over Brandon Marsh.
I would still take him for like my 15th prospect just to see what I got.
But he's not an improvement over Brandon Marsh. You can just look at it. He hasn't played better than Marsh.
Marsh had a nice day yesterday.
Oh, please stop it.
He had 2 knocks yesterday.
Please stop
Give credit when credit's due. 2 knocks yesterday.
Okay, I'm not doing that. I've seen 4 months of Marsh. I've seen years of Marsh.
I've seen 4 years of Marsh. I know. You know I don't like the baseball player.
So I don't need to give credit where credit's due. After watching his debacle this weekend, no, I do not need to see that.
Well, he had 2 of the. Didn't he? He had a third of the hits yesterday.
That's great.
I know my math. My math, 26.
What percentage is that?
It's 33%, you ass face. All right, and then the big name that everybody wants, the big name that we talked about for the majority of the show yesterday, Gino Suarez, Eugenio Suarez, the third baseman from the Diamondbacks. He was playing yesterday, and the D-backs were trailing 5-1 in the 9th inning. It looked like 3 quick outs, ball game over. He's 2 days away from the MLB trade deadline. Instead, he takes a fastball to the hand and has to exit the game. Fortunately, in case you just tuned in and you didn't see the reports yesterday, X-rays came back negative. Now he will get X-rayed again today because sometimes if the swelling's too much, you can't totally see all the imaging. I'm going to guess they will remain negative. But who knows how long he could be out? Could he miss time?
I think since they're taking his second X-ray, the Sixers medical staff must have looked at him.
It may.
I mean, seriously, I'm thinking they can usually trust the first X-ray, but if they're doing it again, that's fine.
Yeah. So Suarez, he exits the game yesterday, and Emmanuel Clase, the closer from the Guardians, who. The percentage chance of him being traded yesterday seemed to be dwindling. Now you could just say, no way, Jose, because Emmanuel Clase he didn't just exit a game. He may be exiting Major League Baseball.
Yeah, he could get kicked out. And by the way, if any of these guys did what they say that they did, if any of these guys are proven to have been involved in gambling in any way, shape, or form, and I've had to miss one of the greatest baseball players of all time, not be a part of baseball's Hall of Fame, and Pete Rose, who has recently died, they better never. This better not be a slap on the wrist. They better be gone forever. They better be gone forever, shamed. This is terrible because this is bad.
Yeah.
So we've been told this is like absolutely horrible. So they should be gone.
Clase, the second member of the Guardians this year, being investigated.
Because this is fixing a game.
Yeah.
This is not betting on your team to win, which is what Pete Rose did.
Right.
Betting on your team to win.
In case people did not see what was going on yesterday, Emmanuel Clase, closer of the Guardians, that a lot of people have eyes on, He's being investigated for unusual bets, which is something that Rob Manfred actually talked about recently that he was concerned about. Maybe he knew that something was sort of going to drop soon. Clase, there was unusual amount of money being put down on first pitch of an inning,
And
whether it was a ball or a strike.
And where the bets were coming from.
Yeah.
They tracked them with the geofencing.
Yep.
So they can
Because
see where they're
all
coming
that is
from.
there.
And then they were tracking what is his normal first pitch strike
Yeah.
in an inning. And then all of a sudden, when they see the strange activity, all of a sudden, he's 4 times more likely to throw a strike, and he throws a horrible ball.
Yeah, here's a tweet from an account called Foolish Baseball. Manuel Clase is coming to the game at the beginning of the 9th inning 40 times this season.
Yes.
Here is his StatCast waste pitch percentage. First pitch of the 9th inning is 17.5%. Everything else is 5.2%. And if you see these pitches, they are nowhere close.
Correct.
Nowhere close.
And you can bet on that.
Man. All right. There was another big story.
How obvious can you get?
Another big story that involved the Phillies. It happened recently. It didn't happen yesterday, but the details came out yesterday. Imagine cursing out the boss, Johnny. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Phils fall to the White Sox in Game 1. I'm Connor Thomas. And the Phillies, they dropped their first up in Chicago to the White Sox 6-2 last night. The offense was only able to scratch together 6 hits. And to make matters worse, Christopher Sanchez did not have his best stuff on the mound. He talked after the game about feeling a little uncomfortable out there yesterday.
I don't like to make excuses, but I felt a little sluggish, but also the weather was really humid today. But, that was just a part of it. I did feel a little, uncomfortable out there.
You don't love hearing that from Sanchez, but hopefully it's just a one-time thing. Game 2 tonight is at 7:40 p.m. Jesus Luzardo faces off against Johnny Cannon. Bryce Harper also made headlines after a heated back and forth with MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred was reported during a presentation to the team. It was reportedly about a salary cap potential discussion. In other Phillies news, former manager and Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg passed away yesterday following a battle with cancer. He was 65. It's another day of camp for the Eagles today. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio will meet with media at 8:40 a.m. as they bump practice up to 9 a.m. to avoid the heat. We got a busy day on Kincade Salciunas. Jeff McClain joins us at 7:55. Greg Caserta at 8:25. Amy Fadul for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update is brought to you by AAA Tire and Auto Service. Visit your local AAA Tire and Auto Service location and save $40 on any repair of $150 or more. This offer is valid August 1st through August 30th. See store for complete details. I'm Connor Thomas for 97.5 The Fanatic.
Eagles defensive coordinator.
Taylor Simon came in here, of course, doing a great job with YouTube, and she came in here talking about wrestling. And so I looked at her and I said, get the F out of our studio.
You didn't, because you would never speak to a woman that way.
No, I would never do that.
But you did have that sort of tone, because neither one of us know anything about wrestling.
That's all a joke, people. Bryce Harper looked Rob Manfred in the eyes and said, get the F out of our clubhouse recently. Crazy story that came out yesterday on ESPN and a lot of other resources, websites, obviously.
It was everywhere.
Jeff Passan, we know, does a great job covering Major League Baseball for ESPN. So we heard about this like last week.
Correct. That the commissioner had been there.
The commissioner was in the Phillies clubhouse, and there was a contentious, heated interaction between he and Bryce Harper and some of the other players. Yesterday, we got more details. So there's been a lot of talk about a salary cap in Major League Baseball. And you and I have agreed that we think it would be good for baseball because there's teams like the Dodgers that can do whatever they want because they have an unlimited amount of money. They can go on a shopping spree every single year. Look at this past offseason that they had and the amount of money that they put around. Now, obviously,
there are 8 teams. By the way, there are 7 or 8 teams, depending on how we want to do it. There are 7 or 8 teams that operate between their TV deals, their local marketing deals, and everything, that operate at a completely different level of revenue,
right,
of income, that completely cannot compare to the other bottom teams.
Right, teams like the Marlins, teams like the Pirates.
That everybody says they should be able to compete with them.
Right.
Well, they can't.
And
they should compete more than they do.
Like it's a shame. A couple of weeks ago, I saw a report already. Tariq Skubal, who is a tremendous pitcher for the Tigers, could win American League Cy Young. There was already a report about how much money he could potentially make in the future. I think it was like $400 million, whatever.
Sure.
Teams that would be in on this: Yankees, Dodgers, and then mentioned another Mets. Yeah,
Mets.
Not the Tigers. The team that he's playing for, the team that he's making his bones with. No, they weren't even mentioned in the report. Not even maybe he'll take a hometown discount. Not that he should, because
he would have to.
He should get as much money as he can. Paul Skeens will eventually not be on the Pirates.
Yes.
Like, we know this, that he will not be a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates one day. That might be best for baseball, might be best for him. Oh, by the way, the Pirates won't spend the money because that's what they do. The Guardians, a few years ago, did not pay Francisco Lindor. The owner of the Guardians literally said behind a microphone, enjoy this last year of Francisco Lindor because we're not going to be able to afford him. So I believe a salary cap could be good for Major League Baseball. There's a lot of players that take exception to it, especially those who make a lot more money than some of the other players.
Shocker.
Bryce Harper, one of those players, 13-year contract, $330 million.
Yeah, shocker that the wine and cheese crowd would have a problem with it.
Right.
Because you know what the salary cap does, Andrew?
What does it do?
Proven. Factual. Easy to research. NBA. NHL. NFL. You know who benefited from the salary cap most?
Who?
The bottom 60% of players in their sports.
It's like a Rafael Marchand.
The bottom 60% of the roster. Those players exponentially make more money once a salary cap is instituted. So the bottom 3, what is that counter? We're going to do 60% of your roster. So the bottom 3 out of 5 guys on your roster make more money when a salary cap's instituted. But you know who makes less?
The guys up top.
The top guys. See, what happened is in 2010 in the NFL, when they were having the big fight over the salary cap and they were fighting all about it, there were the star players in the NFL were saying, we can't have this, can't have it, can't have it. And then when the players voted, they voted for it.
Yeah.
Because the guys at the bottom rung, the bottom half of NFL rosters, saw their incomes triple, saw their incomes go up. Because you know what? The guys at the top of the food chain, they claim they're fighting for the little guy. No, they aren't. They're freaking lying. Because in every sport, and it's easy to research, the NHL, the NBA, and NFL, the bottom guys on the roster, the bottom half, more than the bottom half, see their incomes rise substantially when there's a salary cap. And more importantly, the competitive nature of the sport. Having a salary cap floor, having a salary cap ceiling, having a more competitive balance, it's better for the fans.
It is, and I understand that.
And it's been proven in every
guys
sport.
don't want to lose money, but we've talked about this before. Just speculating. Like, there's no way they could just do a hard cap 2027.
Correct.
Hey, Bryce, we're taking your money away from you.
And they're not doing that.
No, you sign a contract, you get that contract one way or another. But maybe Bryce Harper doesn't realize that, or maybe that wasn't talked about because Harper didn't even let Manfred really speak, according to the story.
He didn't.
He just said, get the F out of our clubhouse. And according to reports from Jeff Passan, the sources that talked to him about it, it wasn't even come up, but they kind of speculated this would come up in the conversation. So Bryce just wanted to get ahead of it and say, don't even do that. Now here's the deal. I love Bryce, right? I think we all love Bryce.
Yeah, we love him. As a baseball player, he's fantastic.
There's a quote from the story. According to sources, Bryce Harper said something to the extent of, players are not scared to lose 162 games.
Really?
So here's the deal. First and foremost, it kind of goes back to the COVID season where they were talking about how many games and how much money they should be paid, all that kind of stuff. Bryce Harper may not be scared to lose 162 games. To the point that we were just talking about the guys, the bottom of your roster, that are maybe going to make more money if there is a salary cap. I bet you those guys are scared to lose 162 games.
How about the guy who has an average major league career of 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
Who has 3 or 4 seasons in the Major League Baseball to make their money, to make the big money that they probably won't make the rest of their lives when they go back to their regular work, whatever they do for a life. Do you think they miss a year, Bryce? When you're making $30 million a year, you sure as hell don't care about the guy who might miss making $1 million a year for a year. You're speaking like the wine and cheese crowd. Let them eat cake. And guess what? You know what they won't do? The other players aren't going to speak up against Bryce Harper.
Right.
The young guys, the other quiet. But you know what they will do? When they have a chance to vote, and they get a chance to vote, and they get a chance to cast their vote for what deal they want, they'll vote the opposite of Bryce Harper. Because they'll vote for their own wallets, which is what they should do.
I'll also say
because they don't want to miss a year. Because Bryce can afford it, they can't.
I'll say this. It's detrimental to baseball. Baseball is seeing a rise in viewership.
They're on a roll right now. They're on a little bit of a roll the last 2 years. It's positive.
And there could legitimately be no season in 2027 if it's as intense as it was in the Phillies clubhouse the other day. We'd love to get your reaction on that as well, because I know a lot of people are pro-player. I'm typically pro-player, but I'm also pro-competitive balance.
Wait a minute. You can be pro-player.
Lesser player.
Be pro-player for the 60% of the guys who are going to make a lot more money in a salary cap league. It's already been proven over and over again.
We'll check our text line next. Are you excited or anxious about the upcoming trade deadline? And your reaction to this wild story that comes out of the Phillies clubhouse where Bryce Harper cusses out the commissioner. I know people hate Rob Manfred. I'm not the biggest fan, but I want baseball in 2027. I don't want to lose a year. And it's not like he's not going to get his money. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ray Dunn, Mike Missanelli.
He's celebrating a home run. He played
I love this Underdog Sports. As we've talked about them a couple of times. It's one of the new, sort of aggregate websites. They do some of their own reporting, but they kind of find things and then they put it out there.
This is when you said that James Palmer's now with?
Yes, I believe James Palmer's
They do some gambling. They do some other stuff.
All kinds of stuff. So they have an Underdog MLB, NFL, NHL, NBA, and every single day they've been updating the latest trade rumors. So that's been my go-to every single morning. And the latest, this was actually tweeted out today, 12:07 a.m. Per Ken Rosenthal, some of the latest nuggets before Thursday's trade deadline.
So are they being an aggregator or are they breaking stories?
I would imagine more so aggregator, but sometimes they do their own reporting.
Okay.
So these are the latest updates per Ken Rosenthal, the bow tie.
I loved him on 2.5 Men. He was great.
The Emmanuel Clase situation. Of course, he's being investigated for gambling in games in which he has appeared in. Likely increases the possibility of the Guardians being more so heavy sellers. Stephen Kwan, a name that we've talked about a lot, outfielder for the Guardians, but also Shane Bieber. Now, the Phillies would not be in the market for Shane Bieber, but he's a very, very talented pitcher. The Brewers are showing interest in Ryan O'Hearn. The Rangers, who have been red hot since the All-Star break. So Dave Dombrowski, if you remember, said 10 days after the All-Star break could change everything. We saw the Rays fall apart. They're now potential sellers. We've seen the Rangers get hot. Take a listen to what the Rangers want. A right-handed hitter and a high-leverage reliever.
Now, there it is.
Sounds just like what the Phillies are on. So this could become some sort of bidding war for certain players. Now, this is the one that you'll laugh at. White Sox want a team's top 10 prospect in any trade that involves Luis Robert Jr.
Okay. Then they can ask for all they want.
Yeah.
They did it last year. Don't give it to them. Luis Robert Jr. is terrible. He's terrible.
What are they missing?
They're missing. All you need to see is their on-field product, because the one thing you can control, you can be a bad franchise as far as spending money, and you can look at the Rays and you can look at the A's. By the time the A's get settled into Vegas, the A's are going to be damn good.
Probably.
The A's have 5 or 6 young guys that are going to be really good, and the Rays have a lot of young talent. You can beat. That's one thing you should be good at as an organization. If you're not going to be spending the big money,
right,
you should be spending money on scouting and everything and being really good at that.
Right. Well, you have to be. And look, those teams typically are.
They're terrible at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
all right, so let's get to the text line at 610-632-0975. Our questions, the first topic, comes from our post-show headlines discussion yesterday on YouTube. Are you excited or anxious about the trade deadline, which is 2 days away? I'm anxious as hell because I think the success of this team sort of relies on what Dave Dombrowski does this Thursday. And then the other discussion was what we talked about last segment, the interaction between Bryce Harper and Rob Manfred.
That's one way to put it.
The interaction. I wasn't going to go altercation, but we'll go interaction. Where Bryce curses out the commissioner in case he just didn't want him to bring up the salary cap. And I'm sorry. I want guys to make all the money in the world, but there's only a few players that make all the money in the world. We also talked about how, and Jeff Passan wrote a great article on this before the season started, that the Los Angeles Dodgers, their success this year could hurt baseball, or if they don't win, it'll help baseball. The continued success and growth of Major League Baseball, the regrowth, the rebirth of Major League Baseball, stands on what the Dodgers do. Because if the Dodgers win the World Series, it's just, oh, wow, the team that could just go out there and buy everybody won the World Series.
Sure.
That sucks. My team has no chance of winning. Why should I pay attention? If they lose, which they could, it gives everybody a sense of that their team could still win regardless of how they go about building their roster.
Every time there's a labor problem in baseball, I'm reminded of the fact that baseball has the least educated, the collective group of players in professional sports. And it shows all the time because they don't understand economics. They don't articulate it well. And Bryce saying, we're not afraid to take a year off and lose a year of money is so arrogant.
Yeah.
And speaks for, yes, the wine and cheese crowd that made $30 million and made $30 million last year, made $30 million the year before, yeah, they don't care. But the guy who makes $1 million a year, $2 million a year, when they cast their ballot privately, when Bryce doesn't get to see how they vote, I guarantee you they vote opposite Bryce Harper. But they won't say it. They won't say it publicly, but they'll vote it. And that's the way it went in the NFL.
Yeah. Let me see. Christopher Sanchez making $2 million next year.
Yeah, guess what? He doesn't want to take a year off. He does not want to be a year away to give up a year of money.
Garrett Stubbs, $850K.
Yeah, guess what? He doesn't want to take a year off of money. But the guy making $30 million says, "We're not afraid." Yeah, because you're not afraid, because you're not worried about where any money's coming from for the next 5 generations of your family. But that arrogant speak is not speaking for the guys, because the top group in any pro sport has never spoken for the 60-70% of the rest of the guys. And when they get a salary cap, those other guys always benefit. They always make more money.
All right, what do we got on the text line?
So we have a check-in on the deadline conversation. This texter says, Phillies trade deadline starting to make me feel like I do with the Sixers. Make a great move, damn it.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd say that's anxiety.
I think so, too. I think everybody's more anxious, Connor, right?
I'm much more excited.
What are you excited
What are you
about
excited
based on the fact that Dave Dombrowski's never delivered?
No, it's not about a Dave Dombrowski thing, right? Like, I'm not sitting here telling you I trust him 100% to make the right moves, but you've got a team that's obviously buyers. We talked about how quick things change, right? Over the 10 days Dave Dombrowski's talking about, the Phillies situation is not changing. They're buyers. They're going in, whether it's all in or not. They have the prospects to get this done. They have 5 top 100 prospects. So it's not like you're sitting here with nothing to pay for players that you need. And there are players out there that fit the bill. So there are a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Who are those guys?
Well,
like who are you saying?
Let's say Suarez is the number one guy that fits the bill. There's a lot of teams that want Suarez.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
you have the stuff to go get him, though. Right? This is not the Phillies of 2020 where they had no farm system. Right? This is a team that has the pieces that you can move to go get the guys that you need.
So you rebuild your minor league system in order to go all in on this year's team. So you're going to gut it again.
That's part of it.
I'm just understanding the strategy.
No. I'm not saying they're going to gut it. You don't have to gut it. But you have the guys. Like, you have the ability to do that. There are teams out there that want to buy, that can't buy. There are teams out there that are going to be sellers. I mean, the Phillies are opportunity to me always means excitement. I understand why some people get anxiety, but I look at this baseball team and I say they could make the moves that make us feel a lot better.
Yeah, and I expect them to make moves. It's literally it stands on this trade deadline.
No,
if
it does.
If they don't make the moves, you know how I feel about this baseball team.
Connor,
they're not going to be good enough.
Connor likes the idea that his team's going to the mall with money in their wallet.
Exactly. Now, I don't know what they're going to buy. They're not. They might buy something stupid.
But he's looking. But you actually have money in your wallet this year, where in other years maybe you didn't.
Yeah, they're not sitting outside the door panhandling for a middle reliever. Like, they've got the opportunity. We'll see if they cash in.
All right.
I like
you're
I like the idea. And that doesn't. That's very on brand for Connor, because he's as I say, Connor's a golden retriever,
Positive guy.
Connor's a positive guy. He's finding the positive, and I bet you there's a lot of people that are like him, saying no.
We'll read more text throughout the show.
I think there's more anxiety than excitement.
Oh, I would agree. Yes, much like there's more people that don't want to take a year off of their income, unlike, Bryce Harper, who says, "Yeah, we can take a year off."
Yeah.
Sure, Bryce.
Well, maybe Bryce will pay for the guys that.
Yeah, he'll
that
cover
need the
all
money.
their checks, all their bills.
Maybe pay him off a little bit.
That is such an arrogant statement.
All right, coming up next, we'll reset our topics to start the show, but also to start the 7 o'clock hour. The mentality of moving on as Super Bowl champions is one thing. To ignore what worked and what didn't is another. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A rough start in Chicago. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies dropped game 1 to the White Sox last night, 6-2, as the offense was only able to scratch together 6 hits. I mean, a third of those came from Brandon Marsh. Christopher Sanchez also didn't have his best stuff on the mound. He talked after the game about feeling a little uncomfortable out there.
I don't like to make excuses, but I felt a little sluggish, but also the weather was really humid today, but, that was just a part of it. I did feel a little, uncomfortable out there.
That statement via team translator. Game 2 is tonight at 7:40 p.m. Jesus Luzardo is on the mound as the Phillies look to bounce back. Johnny Cannon goes for the White Sox. Bryce Harper also made headlines after a report of a heated discussion with MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred during a presentation to the team, reportedly about a potential salary cap discussion. In other Phillies news, former manager and Baseball Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg passed away yesterday following a battle with cancer. He was 65. It's another day of camp for the Eagles today. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio will meet with media coming up at 8:40. Got bumped up an hour because they'll start practice earlier to avoid the heat. We'll talk to Jeff McClain of the Inquirer coming up at 7:55. Greg Caserta gives us some baseball talk at 8:25, and Amy Fadul joins us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Eagles offensive.
This is like
follow the handy dandy show sheet, baby.
It's
We're
unbelievable.
good. All right, so Jeff McClain, as it is a Tuesday, will be joining us at 7:55. So a little bit earlier than when we normally have Jeff on, but there's reasons
Early
because of
practice,
it.
too.
Yes. So Jeff joins us at 7:55. The following segment is today's headlines with Connor. Then after that, Greg Caserta of the MLB Network will be joining us because we are 2 days away from the MLB trade deadline.
Connor, Greg Caserta used to be your job on my network show at CBS.
How about that?
And now he's hosting all these big-time shows on the MLB Network.
What happened to you?
I'm surprised he even takes the texts from me. It's unbelievable.
So
Greg's great. I've talked to him. We
Great
did
dude.
the afternoon show, so
he's a good dude.
Yeah.
he joins us at 8:25. Vic Fangio speaks to the media at 8:40. We will carry it live. It was originally 9:40, but due to the heat wave that we are experiencing right now, they moved practice up an hour, which
I love
good,
that.
Good move. Smart move. They move it up an hour, so that means the press conference gets moved up an hour, which works out perfectly for us because Amy Fadul is in with us for the entire 9 o'clock hour.
The heat wave has not affected Amy.
No, Amy.
So she
come
is
on.
not affected. Like
She
she's
just blasts the AC a little bit more in
Okay,
the car,
good.
and then she gets here. So a normal Tuesday, just some moving parts, but some added parts as well. Greg Caserta, 8:25. Vic Fangio's press conference at 8:40. So very busy day today. We have another $50 Primo gift card to give away at some point throughout the show today. Going to be a busy one, going to be a fun one, and we want you guys to be a part of it at 610-632-0975. Our two Phillies discussions to start, and then we're going to open up something Eagles in a few minutes. Are you more excited or anxious about the trade deadline, which is 2 days from now? I was not surprised that Connor said excited. I am anxious because this team is not a World Series contender in my mind. We've been saying that since May. It's not like this is something that we said last week or 2 weeks ago. It's not something that we're saying this morning just to try to get you going because we're 2 days away from the trade deadline. Like, no, we've been real with you for a while now. And we believe, John and I both believe that this team, the way that it's built, not a World Series contender. Now, you add two legit pieces, different story. I'm not saying you have to have nine moves.
Right.
Big bullpen arm, maybe a marginal bullpen arm, but then also that right-handed power bat, which is why Suarez has been the big talking point, and we're very happy that the X-rays last night were negative after he got hit on the hand in a pitch in which his team was pretty much done in that ball game. So that was a scary moment. But you make two legitimate moves. This rotation's very, very good. Alec Bohm will come back eventually. The lineup at the top half is still good. Yes, they have their cold streaks, but we see them get hot. We see what they can do. They just need some extra protection. And then if you can fix this bullpen, you do have guys that you can depend on in Kerkering and Strahm. Even though Strahm gives me fits, he's a guy that you know can go out there and get outs for you. You need to add two more arms.
Yes.
And who knows what David Robertson is for you when he eventually gets
I'm
the
anxious
call
to
up.
see David Robertson, but I don't believe that like the ledge hit David Robertson in the past 6 months, 7 months.
Right.
I'm figuring he's at least adequate to do something.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
I think I could trust him more than
some of the other names we've been tossing.
You know,
out there,
a guy that's been
Sure.
he's done it before.
Yeah, let's see what we can do.
All right, what do we got in the text line? We've also been talking about the comments from Bryce Harper toward the commissioner, the reported comments. You get the bleep out of our clubhouse is what's been reported when they were talking about a salary cap. I'm all about guys making money, but the little man also needs to make money. The salary cap, to John's point, would help that. And I don't want to lose baseball for a year. And this could be it's not just all on the players. Like this is going to be a debate between the MLB Players Association and the league. And I hope that they find common ground. I get it that they're both going to dig their feet as far into the sand and the dirt as they possibly can. And it's going to get contentious. And maybe it comes down to the final minute. Maybe we miss part of spring training in 2027. I just don't want to lose the season.
By the way, just one more little bit of fact. NHL franchises are worth significantly more across the league since the salary cap was implemented. NBA franchises are worth significantly more since the salary cap was implemented. Players are making more in the NBA. NHL players making more. NFL players making more. NFL franchises making more. So when you hear arguments that it's not a good thing, that is incorrect. Players make more, and more importantly, the bottom end of players make significantly more when a salary cap goes in.
You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, BZ Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. All right, what do we got in the text line? And then we're going to talk about something that Nick Sirianni said in a press conference this week. What do we got?
Troy from Lancaster checks in. Obviously not happy that I said I was excited about the trade deadline. He says, what are you excited about? Excited about Phillies doing absolutely nothing with the trade deadline, or Phillies signing someone dumb like Luis Robert? This team doesn't have the stones to make moves at the deadline.
I can't say they don't have the stones, but we need to see it first.
Well, wait a minute. You understand where he's coming from, though? Because he sort of has the right to say they don't have the stones because they've sort of shown you they don't roll the dice. They've done safe moves. They haven't done bold moves.
I would say that you may not have liked the trade. I didn't really like the trade, but the rolling of the dice for Marsh was a roll of the dice.
Yeah, but it wasn't a crazy trade. That wasn't like a trade that was something bold and aggressive.
Okay.
That was
Estevez last year. I thought that was a nice move.
Yeah, but again, it wasn't a
Michael Lorenzen 2 years ago.
I bet you didn't know anything about the prospects they traded.
Oh,
so that's what he's saying.
I don't waste my time with prospects.
That's what he's saying is you always want big time prospects traded. Dave Dombrowski's been like, I'll trade you my 20th best baseball card.
Yeah, but we have this damn amnesia in this town about when people come here from other places, we don't give a damn what they've done, and we forget about it immediately. Like, Philly is all that matters sometimes. And I get that, because it's what have you done for me lately? But what was Dave Dombrowski's reputation when he came in to Philadelphia?
He gutted farm systems.
To build contenders.
Right.
Correct.
And just because he hasn't done that for 3-4 years doesn't mean he's just, like, forgotten.
When he took... Yeah, but the difference is, Connors, when he took over this franchise, what was his mandate? This franchise had a gutted farm system.
Yeah, rebuild
So
that.
he brings in Preston Mattingly, and he brings in a guy who is excellent at... and who's done a great job. I think he'll be gone very soon. Or if Dave Dombrowski's gone, I think Preston Mattingly may be the guy who takes over here.
Yeah, well, they promoted him to GM, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Well, I think to be I'm talking about being the Pobo, to be actually the guy who makes all the calls.
Yeah, Elton Brand's a GM.
Because,
you know what I mean?
Because like Preston Mattingly doesn't. The decisions are being made by Dave Dombrowski.
Yeah, my point is just this. This is a guy who has had a long-tenured MLB career as a front office executive where his main calling card is gutting farm systems. So if anyone's looking at Dave Dombrowski as a guy who's afraid to trade away prospects, you're flat out wrong.
Yeah, but no, he isn't, though. Because they didn't have a farm system to gut. He didn't have a farm system to gut here. So he's not wrong. They didn't have one to gut. Because when he came here, the farm system was his mandate here was to build a farm system.
Right. We're not there
and
anymore.
now he might be able to use those pieces. And the texts are saying he doesn't have the stones to do it. I don't know if that's necessarily true. But we'll find out in 2 days.
We'll find out.
All right. Nick Sirianni spoke to the media yesterday. And he said something that caught your ear. And it's something that we've been talking about actually a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. Here is Nick Sirianni talking about the past being the past.
Nothing that you do in the past. Now, you can look back at your past experiences and learn from them, but this isn't boxing where you're the champ until someone takes your belt away. No, this is football. Everyone starts off 0-0. And I think two mistakes that you could make is resting on your laurels or looking too far ahead, right? Thinking too much about the past or looking too far ahead. I mean, that's been our mindset since day one, has been be where your feet are, be focused on that, because nothing that we did is going to influence anything that we want to do in the future. So it is about the daily work, regardless if you're coming off of, a 9-8 season, a 14-3 season, an 11-6 season, or a 14-3 season. It's the work that you put in that is going to get you ready for the games here. So we don't, again, that's just been our mindset. I don't think anything's changed.
Johnny?
I think he's crazy. I think nothing that we did in the past is going to influence what we do today. Everything you do in the past is what influences what you do today. And it should. And if it doesn't, that scares the hell out of me. Because I think this is all part of that talking point of we've told everybody that we're not the defending champs. We're not talking about last year. I don't want you talking about last year. You don't have to talk about last year. But what you learned in the past, absolutely, good and bad, influences your present.
Yeah.
And to me, it absolutely better be influencing what you do right now, what you did in the past, good and bad. That's why I'm hoping is maybe the mistakes you learned from how you dealt with Brian Johnson taking over as an inexperienced offensive coordinator at the NFL level helps you with Kevin Patullo. And I believe Nick Sirianni's a pretty smart guy. I believe he learns from that experience, and this time it goes better and goes smoother. So I certainly hope they're learning from mistakes that were made last year in the way that they handled the beginning of the season, that it really sort of got off to a bad start, and it took them until the break to figure out, wow, we should be a run-first team that then passes off the run. I hope they learn from that. Hope they're just not talking about that. I'm surprised. I think they've gotten into this dug-in mindset.
I think they're too deep into it.
Right.
You're right.
They're trying to convince themselves that we are not talking about last year, that they end up saying sort of stupid stuff.
Yeah, because think about your own life. Like, think about this job that we do. We listen to audio with Scott, our program director.
Yes.
All right, what can we do better next time after hearing that segment?
What did you like? What did you not like?
Right. And we take note. I'm doing stuff with ESPN now, right? Almost after every shift, I call Evan, who's the weekend, oversees weekend programming. Because I'm trying to do the local stuff with you guys.
Right.
It's different. It's a different speed. It's a different way to handle yourself doing the national stuff. Hey, what did I do that you think I need to be better at? And I obsess with it my next shift.
Yes.
I'm going to make sure I do that better than what I did last time. That's radio. It goes the same with sports.
And he's leading.
It goes the same with being a spouse.
And you're leading 75 guys.
Right.
And a coaching staff of like 15 guys. And you're trying to be the voice. Look, Nick Sirianni's done a beautiful job of leading.
Yes.
In that he, the inspiration, the energy, the positivity and everything. But I think sometimes the gimmick of we're not talking about last year sometimes goes a little too far.
So maybe we're hanging on to words too much. Could be true.
I think so.
But what we'll do coming up next.
I don't know how you can misinterpret what he said. Because he reiterated it 3 times in the same soundbite.
What we'll do coming up next, we'll do it for Nick. Things that they can definitely continue to improve upon.
Okay.
Or things where you go, all right, that can't happen. And there is something from a couple of seasons ago, a couple of off seasons ago, that I will tell you cannot happen. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Tuesday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Bo, Bill Colarulo.
Has Dave
Johnny doesn't want to look back and doesn't want to allow the past to influence him moving forward. So we'll do it for him, John. As we know, he's a big listener to the show anyway.
Yes, exactly.
So we'll help him out. This is how we help the Philadelphia Eagles somehow.
And Mrs. S.
And absolutely. So one thing that absolutely can't happen, and maybe this is why Nick Sirianni has the answer that he has. Because I was thinking about this yesterday when you sent over the email.
Is why somebody might think that?
Right.
Okay.
The Sirianni, at least.
Okay.
It wasn't that long ago where I was yelling and screaming and ripping him for saying something to Jeff McClain on his podcast before the 2023 season, which we know was the debacle season, 10-1 start where they fell apart. When he says to Jeff McClain on his podcast, man, we're not going to change our offense.
Why would we?
We're just going to build upon it. And I thought that was a very stupid thing to say because teams get tape on you, right?
Okay.
Jaden Daniels, who everybody loves, right? I expect a bit of a regression. Still a good season, bit of a regression because I think teams will be able to figure out some tendencies for Jaden Daniels. If you say, we're just going to do exactly what we did last year, the defensive coordinators that get paid a lot of money, some may be good, some may not be so good, but there's a reason why there's so few of them, 32 to be exact. They get paid a lot of money because they know a thing or two about defense. And if you're out there saying, yeah, why would we change anything? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You don't have to break it, but you should always kind of adapt a little bit and change it a little bit. And they didn't change it, and they ran the same 3 wide receiver screens over and over and over again, and it was detrimental to the team. So maybe that's why he has that opinion yesterday, or maybe that's why he's saying what he said yesterday.
Connor, that's where I tell you when you tell me that you don't think Andrew's that bright. I disagree with you all the time.
I'll continue to fight that fight.
That's where. That's right. That's a great one.
Thank you.
That's a great one.
Sometimes the gummies help.
That is a great one there. Did you come up with that late last night? During that awful Phillies game? That's fantastic. That is a great one, though. That makes a lot of sense. That really does make a lot of sense. I just think that many, many times, and Nick, hey, it works for Nick. And again, it's much like the other day. Whatever works for them.
Right.
That makes them successful, whatever works for players or coaches that makes them successful, I don't have to like it. I don't have to use it in my own life because if it doesn't work for me, like some people love, I got to see, I don't know if you even know, is it too old a reference for you guys, Tony Robbins?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay,
Tony Robbins.
Yeah, Tony
no.
Robbins. Tony Robbins is a motivational speaker.
Okay.
I got to see Tony Robbins twice because of a business associate and got to see Tony Robbins speak. And the guys that I was with, and one of them listens to the show every day, and he may be listening right now, are huge Tony Robbins people. I went to see Tony Robbins and was like, this is bull pucky.
Okay.
Like, this guy is like, he's going to be your life coach. Coach. He's one of the like beginning life coaches.
Yeah.
He's going to be your life coach. He's going to be your. And I went to it, and I'm sitting in there, and I'm going, okay, this is bullcrap.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You're different than me. I'm different than Connor.
Yeah.
There's no one can just, you know what? When our boss sits us down and talks to us about things, he knows if he wants to get things done with us, he knows that he has to approach Connor differently, approaches me, and different approaches you.
Mm-hmm.
These one-size-fits-all stuff, I'm going to write a book, and it's going to work for everybody.
Right.
Guess what? You're being suckered. And if you go to a seminar and they tell you it's all going to work, you're being suckered. In my opinion, that's how I feel. And so to me, I think they buy into the bit of, this is the way we do. This is our motivational. This is our mantra. And to me, that's a bit of a problem.
Now, there are things even from just last season that you can use as information, right? Like, again, the ground game, you brought it up. Are you just going to ignore that you were the number one rushing attack in the NFL last year? Or are you just going to ignore that and say this is a new year, it's going to be something completely different?
And it took us long to get around to it. Took like we wasted a month figuring that out.
And also, you can use information from last year, like Saquon Barkley touched the ball a lot last year. We may want to limit his touches early on this year because we want him fresh for the long run. Like you can use that information.
That was on my Connor. That was the first one before you respond. That was on my list. That was when you said about the list. My number one is that when you go, if he says nothing that we did in the past is going to influence what we do today, then that means we won't adjust Saquon Barkley's workload at all based on last year. I think that would be stupid.
Absolutely. I agree. But you're not hearing that from Nick Sirianni and really thinking that they just men in black like flashed themselves into thinking last year never happened, right?
No.
Like he led off the clip by saying you can learn from past experiences. What he's just saying is...
And then 15 seconds later, he says, I'm not going to allow it to influence
After giving the example of the boxer, like you don't hold the belt until you fight somebody else again. Like it's brand new. It's the same thing. We're 0-0. We got to do it over again. 0-0. And you start from scratch.
No, I understand
past
that
successes don't influence you inherently to be successful in the future, is the only thing he's trying to say in that clip to me, which I think is absolutely correct.
The thing is, though, is that's where I couldn't disagree more.
Yeah.
Past success absolutely influences you.
No, inherently. Like
it influences everything you do, because if you have success, you have confidence that you know how to navigate stuff and that you're going to be okay for the moment.
If you handle it the right way, or if you get success and you don't handle it the right way and you think you're hot bleep.
Well, some
next
people,
thing you know, you're overlooking stuff.
Yeah, some people may not. Some people may handle it poorly.
Could be.
And some people may handle it great. Some people may figure it out and know how to handle it.
And look, Dave.
I don't believe they'll all handle it the same way, though, Connor, as you said.
But
yeah, absolutely.
But here's the deal. Like, we found out that Jalen Hurts needed to be more of a vocal leader. Oh, that's just who he is. Well, it took a Brandon Graham and Big Dom visit to his house during the bye week to say, hey, got to lighten up a little bit. He changed.
And it worked.
So
behavior of the past, learning from it, we're not doing that again. I'm manipulating my behavior. I'm going to change that up.
Hurts and Sirianni having a beef. That was real. That was...
Oh, no. Remember the plane that flew over?
No, that was A.J. Brown and
okay.
Devontae.
I just don't believe...
Hurts.
I can't keep track of all the things that we supposedly make up.
Yeah.
That the fan base tells you make
All right, what
up.
do we got in the text line, Connor? Phillies on the table still as well. It's 610-632-0975.
All right, so we have a check-in here from Kaleem in the Northeast on the Sirianni conversation, and he says he didn't say stupid stuff. He literally said you can learn from the things from the past, but nothing we accomplished last year matters this year, and the team buys into it. Why are you so worried about it?
That's not what he said.
We can
Kaleem, that's not what he said.
We can replay the clip.
It's not what he said.
Go ahead, Connor. Let's replay the clip. This was Nick Sirianni's press conference yesterday.
Nothing that you do in the past. Now, you can look back at your past experiences and learn from them, but this isn't boxing where it's you're the champ until someone takes your belt away. No, this is football. Everyone starts off 0-0. And I think two mistakes that you could make is resting on your laurels or looking too far ahead, right? Thinking too much about the past or looking too far ahead. I mean, that's been our mindset since day one, has been be where your feet are, be focused on that, because nothing that we did is going to influence anything that we want to do in the future. So it is about the daily work, regardless if you're coming off of, a 9-8 season, a 14-3 season, an 11-6 season, or a 14-3 season. It's the work that you put in that is going to get you ready for the games here. So we don't, again, that's just been our mindset. I don't think that anything's changed.
Yes, nothing that we did is going to influence us. No, it does. It does influence, because the 9-8 season influenced what they did last year. The 9-8 season said, we got to do things differently.
Right.
The 14-3 season may say, or the 13-4 season may say, well, we started out slow. We understand why we started out slow. Let's manipulate that and let's do things differently.
What did we celebrate about camp last year?
They played it much tougher.
It was more physical
camp. Yes, they learned from the year before. I mean, it just is, they're buying into just don't worry about the cliches. Learn, Nick. We see that you've learned.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just learn.
Yeah,
learn
keep on learning.
Learn, keep learning. You're awesome
And
at
that's
it.
why you're becoming one of the better coaches in the NFL. Absolutely.
You've been great at it, so keep learning,
We're just
Nick.
trying to help. That's all.
You've been learning.
We know he listens to the show.
Yes, we
all
do.
Right, coming up next, were the Super Bowl champions bad at something last season?
I'd listen. Why not?
John found something that maybe they were bad at last year. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Sanchez and the offense struggle. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies lost Game 1 to the White Sox 6-2 last night as the offense was only able to scratch together 6 hits. Christopher Sanchez also didn't have his best stuff on the mound. It was not a great performance against one of the worst teams in baseball, and Sanchez talked after the game about feeling a little uncomfortable during his start.
I don't like to make excuses, but I felt a little sluggish, but also the weather was really humid today, but, that was just a part of it. I did feel a little, uncomfortable out there.
That quote via team translator. We'll see if the Phillies have better performance in Game 2 tonight. 7:40 p.m. first pitch. Jesus Luzardo versus Johnny Cannon, the pitching matchup. Bryce Harper also made headlines after a reported heated back and forth with MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred during a presentation to the team. It was about a salary cap discussion, apparently, so we'll keep you updated on that. In other Phillies news, former manager and Baseball Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg passed away yesterday following a battle with cancer. He was 65. It's another day of camp for the Eagles. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio will meet with the media coming up at 8:40. That's bumped up an hour because the Eagles moved up practice due to the excessive heat. Jeff McClain of the Inquirer will join us at 7:55. Greg Caserta to talk some baseball at 8:25, and Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Andrew Dick.
were the Eagles bad at something last season? We'll get to that in a minute. But real quick, last night, Phillies, as we know, lost to the White Sox 6-2. Just horrible game. They sleptwalked the entire game, except for the top of the third where they scored 2 runs. And it was because of
they wasted
it was
that.
because
They
of the
wasted
travel.
that inning.
It was because of the travel and the heat.
Yeah, it was terrible.
According to Christopher Sanchez, not to make excuses, but that was an excuse. But the good news is the Metropolitans lost yesterday, so you didn't lose ground in the National League East. You're a game and a half back of the Mets. A little bit more painful that you didn't win because you would have been a half game back. But the Mets lost a crazy comeback for the Padres. Mets were up 5-1 through going into the bottom of the 5th. Padres put up a 5 spot. Then the Mets tie it in the top of the 9th.
With a grand slam?
No, solo shot.
Solo shot.
The grand slam happened in the 5th.
In the 5th.
And then the Padres win it in the bottom of the 9th. Our old buddy Gregory Soto, who the Mets recently traded for, he blows the it wasn't a save situation because it's a tie game, but he loses the game for the Mets. Soto, this is exactly what we dealt with. The guy has great stuff. High velocity fastball, pitches that move, struggles with location. Now, yesterday location wasn't a problem. He was just giving up. He gave up 2 hits. The problem with this dude clearly is the high leverage, good team issues. We'll see if it continues with the Mets. He was really good with the Tigers before the Tigers were the team that we see this year. Then he comes to Philadelphia, and he pees himself. Then he goes to Baltimore, one of the worst teams in baseball this year. No pressure. He was fine.
No, he was fine.
Mets acquire him. First outing, he was okay. Yesterday, he loses it for the Mets. Gregory Soto experience.
Just to tell you where this gets serious as we approach the trade deadline. It's July 29th. The Mets' magic number is 55. So you just want to catch up there and get back on top of the perch, because it's weird to think, though, the magic number being 55 for the division leader right now, that's low. That's low. I mean, this is serious times. You can't be putzing around here. Let's get after it.
I got you. All right. What were the Eagles bad at last year? The Super Bowl champions, the team that destroyed the Commanders in the NFC Championship game, the team that destroyed the Chiefs
at the end of the year. They were
Super Bowl 59.
Those last 2 games, they were dominant.
What were they bad at last year?
You know what they weren't? Other than that, they weren't dominant usually like they are at home.
Interesting.
And usually at home, the Eagles are a really, really good team. You know what they were back? Like, I was looking at the era of Doug Peterson. Mm-hmm. The Doug Peterson era at home, they were wild.
Okay.
Like giving up. Do you know they had a season of 10 points a game allowed at home? Wow. Like 10. Like they were like really dominant. When they had a Jim Schwartz, was their defensive coordinator. It was one of their most dominant eras ever at home defensively.
That's why I will continue to say it. A lot of you disrespected Jim Schwartz.
Well, it's the truth, because Jim Schwartz had an era of defense at home that was incredible.
You didn't have to like his style, but he had something cooking with that defense.
Okay, so like in the 2004 season when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
So this is a Jim Johnson defense and Andy Reid. They had a 17-point differential at home in victory.
It's pretty good.
And in the games that they started their starters, they only lost 1 game at home, and that was the last game when they rested all their starters.
Right.
They were 7-0 at home, and they had a 17-point differential in victory at home. They dominated. In 2022, now remember, they rested their starters in 4th quarters.
Quick question. Overall 17-point differential or average?
Oh, no, it was a 17-point differential in the 7 games, in the 7 victories.
Okay.
They had a 17. They averaged 27.1 points in the games. The games they played their starters. They averaged 27.1 points scored. They averaged 10.1 given
amazing.
up. Amazing. 2022, when they went to the Super Bowl, they were 7-2 when they played their starters. When they, how about this? 26.9 in those games scored, 18.7 allowed. It's almost like 8 points a game when they did that. If you take out the 4th quarters where they rested in those games, their point differential was more like 12. So they blew people out.
Yeah.
Then they, remember how many fourth quarters they had
That's
off.
2 scores.
And they had wins against Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Tennessee in those games. 2023 even at home. They beat Miami. They beat Buffalo. They beat Minnesota, in those games. And they averaged 30.8 points scored per game. Last year, the Eagles scored 25.6 points per game at home. Less than in almost every modern season. It was one of their worst offensive seasons ever at home. They lost to an 8-9 Falcons team that didn't make the playoffs. And they survived for 4 of their home wins against 4 of the top 9 teams in the draft.
Yeah, Browns,
The
Giants,
Browns game against a 3 and 14 Browns team, they kicked a field goal to make it a 4-point game with 4 minutes to go. They beat the Jaguars, a 4 and 13 team. The Jaguars had the ball on the Eagles 13 with 1:42 to go.
That was horrible decision by Lawrence
to throw it in the end
corner
zone.
fade.
Yep.
Nakobe Dean, great play on it. I still remember.
Then they had the game you and your pop were at.
Yeah.
The Panthers, the 5 and 12 Panthers, who had the 8th pick in the draft, they were driving down 6 with the ball in the fourth quarter.
Xavier Leggett dropped.
Dropped it on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, that's ball game. The Panthers would have won that game if Leggett makes that catch.
The 9th pick in the draft, the Saints 5 and 12, took the lead in the last. You only took the lead against them in the last minute.
Yeah,
and won by 3. That's 4 of the top teams in the draft that you went and played like crap against. So I mean, you survived a bunch of teams, everything, and you had one of your worst offensive seasons of the modern era. By the way, one of the worst scoring seasons at home in the history of that stadium.
Wow.
And you won the Super Bowl.
And you won the Super Bowl. That's amazing.
So I'm just saying to you is, last year was an odd year, and you won the Super Bowl. So just put it in the back of your head when you want to complain about how the season starts. Because you had a lot of seasons where the Eagles were a lot better.
Hey, look, that's on you and me, too, to
Oh, I know. We have to think about
stick to that.
Right. We got to think about it.
Like, I'm still going to, if they play a bad game, I'm going to react.
No.
I'm not going to say, oh, it's fine. Like, if they have a bad game, I'm going to react if it's a bad game. But, like, this proclamation that I have with the Phillies, like, if they don't make any big trades, I think they're not a World Series team. I can't say that stuff with this Eagles team.
Right, 100%.
Like if they have a shaky start to the season, 2-2, just like last year, I can't be like, oh, well, they got no shot. We learned from the past. We learned from the past.
And you do, because you learn from the past about stuff that you aren't good at. And then you get better at it, hopefully. And you get a little bit better. But it just goes to show you that last year, it really was an anomaly. And Walter got on me yesterday on Twitter. And he goes, this is what Super Bowl teams do. They survive. They have things like this.
No, not all the time.
Walter, no. Most Super Bowl teams, in fact, are quite dominant at home. In fact, most Super Bowl teams champions don't lose more than 2 at home. On average. They don't tend to lose more than 2, and they don't tend to have the point differential. They tend to be more dominant.
That was amazing. And they won the Super Bowl last year.
It's a really weird thing. So it was more of a refresher course for myself.
Right.
As we go into training camp to say, John, don't overreact. John, don't ever be knee-jerk. I try not to be knee-jerk. Don't be a knee-jerk reaction on things, because just a reminder, last year was bad in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And they win the Super Bowl. Connor's been mentioning it in the update. We have not talked about it yet. Sad news yesterday in the world of baseball. Obviously, Phillies ties as well. Ryan Sandberg lost his battle with cancer yesterday. 65 years old.
Yeah.
Really, really sad news. And it broke, during the broadcast yesterday. That's how I found out about it. Watching the Phillies game, and T-Mac and Crucker were talking about it. So really sad news in the world of baseball yesterday.
It went away, came back, and got him.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately happens a lot. So and Ryan Sandberg, a guy who a lot of a missed opportunity for the organization, like a guy that they gave up, they gave away in a deal, and it ended up getting him to the World Series in '83.
Right.
So they traded the young guys. We approach a trade deadline this week.
Yeah.
They gave up a guy. I think he played 6 games as a Philly?
Yeah, he made it to the ball club.
He did. I remember it. And he was the top prospect. Everybody talked about him. But they traded him, which ended up getting them to the World Series the next year. It helped get them there.
Right.
But then that ended up costing them in the long run.
Yeah. But rest in peace, Ryan Sandberg, passing away way too young yesterday. All right, coming up next, how should we evaluate training camp, John?
Uh-oh.
One Super Bowl champion told us to ignore something stupid, and I'm very proud of somebody for speaking up about it. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer. He whips it across. Play.
Seven. Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. So yesterday, another day of practice for the Philadelphia Eagles. It continues today. Again, moved up. So Vic Fangio was supposed to speak at 9:40 today. He'll be speaking at 8:40. You can hear that live here on Kincade and Salciunas. Jeff McClain joins us in the next segment. Everybody moved up because of the practice time being moved up. It's busy time. So yesterday, practice happened. And John, something happened yesterday that didn't happen at all during training camp last year.
What was that?
Jalen Hurts threw an interception in 7-on-7s. Didn't happen once last year.
Not going to the Super Bowl.
Nope.
It's over.
Because,
not going to the Super Bowl.
Because it matters. These 7-on-7 drills and Jalen Hurts throwing an interception, season's over. We may as well not even play it.
Not going to the Super Bowl.
I remember laughing a lot about the nonsense of the Jalen Hurts stat tracker last year because I think people will forget that he wears a red jersey. Nobody's going to hit the quarterback, so the quarterback has extra time. They give up on plays.
It doesn't mean anything.
None of it means anything.
But yeah.
But they won the Super Bowl last year.
Correct.
So yesterday, after practice, Cam Jurgens had his turn to talk to the media. And they were just sort of asked about the day of practice. And take a listen to what Cam Jurgens had to say about those stat trackers out there.
First day with pads, so it's hard to tell just from one practice. I don't really count any of the practices without pads. They're fake. It's not football. 7-on-7 doesn't matter. Stop tweeting about stats or whatnot. Doesn't matter.
Thank you, Cam.
Okay. All right. I love Cam Jurgens. Very nice guy. Very friendly guy, very affable. Lighten up, Francis. Lighten up.
Well, I feel the same way.
Yeah, but lighten up. Who cares? Don't consume it then. That's what I say. If you don't like it, don't consume it. But he's absolutely right. He's 100% right. I'm not contesting that. But don't consume it then. Just ignore it. There's no reason. Some people find it very entertaining. Some people want to hear about it. By the way, when I hear about Jackson Dart, the first 4 times, he 4 of the first 7 passes or something that he throws in practice, he throws interceptions in 7-on-7. I find that interesting. You can tell me that doesn't mean anything. I'm going to tell you I think it means something, at least early on. Means he's a little confused.
Okay.
He's a little confused. It's not good. I bet you the coaches aren't happy.
I'm sure they're not happy.
If it means nothing, and what I would say to Cam is, if it means nothing, do the coaches not disregard the tape and just say, it meant nothing? Don't worry about it, guys. We're going to watch this tape, but it means nothing. No, it means something. But the stats is not what it's more about. It's more about order. It's more about function. It's more about form.
Yeah,
it's more
training camp matters.
But it's more about, but they study that tape and they break it down. And that's what they're doing in the film room. They look at that 7-on-7 tape and they talk about it. And I guarantee in the wide receiver room, they're talking about it. Hey, how'd you run your pattern here? How'd you do that? You broke too early. That's it. You got to run that tighter. You got to be able to do that. You got to throw that ball faster. You got to be able to do that. So it does matter, but the stats don't matter. Is what it is. But the thing is, though, look. I'm going to tell you. And maybe I'm saying this because I like the guy who tweets it. I like the gentleman who tweets it, and he gets attacked for it. Don't consume it. It's really easy to mute people or to just not consume people's.
I
so
agree.
I would just say, if you don't like the content, don't consume it. Don't consume it.
All right.
That's my fault.
That's why I laugh.
That's my fault.
And that's just why I laugh at it.
No, but you're right. No, you and Cam are right. It doesn't there's no. Don't read too much into it.
Season's over. He threw an interception yesterday.
I even mocked that.
Yeah, this stuff flew the coop when the reports came out about Jamar Chase can't see the football without the white lines on it from college his rookie year. You remember that?
I remember that story.
Once that was a narrative, and then he has the career that he's had so far, I'm just whatever.
I remember the players that said they didn't even know that. They were like, wait a minute. Oh, gosh, yeah. That's crazy.
All right, what do we got on the text line, Connor?
We got a lot of people checking in on all of our conversations today. We'll go back to a little bit on the Bryce Harper-Rob Manfred conversation and the potential lockout. So Joe, the cynic, checks in and says, if the players are willing to sit 162, the Savannah Bananas better get 2 more teams for those bottom-tier players needing a check.
Yeah.
Hey.
Banana Ball might be taking over, boys.
Look, well, I guarantee it would pack the house.
My thing is, we saw what happened the last time the players went on a strike when the World Series didn't happen. We saw how much that killed the sport of baseball.
It did.
And what brought it back was steroids.
It did.
Like it took guys.
So you're saying get Bryce on the juice?
It took guys juicing up to bring back baseball. It's detrimental to a league to go into a lockout because you have fans that say, "Oh yeah, screw you," and there are a lot of people that are like that.
You know, the only sport that didn't have that though was the even though it was a much different situation in football. It did avoid it. The football, the fans, and it got close though. Football got really.
Football could literally say we won't play this year, and then they'll play the next year, and the ratings will be double.
Correct.
But
football's unstoppable.
That's just the way that it is.
But baseball, they're playing a dangerous game.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I don't love what Bryce is saying because I don't think he speaks for every MLB player, and to say that to the commissioner. Now, in that moment, he's probably speaking for his team, and I don't know.
You think so?
Yeah, I imagine that they had conversations in the locker room about it. So
Do you think that the bottom guys on that team believe the way Bryce Harper does?
I'd imagine for him to have that reaction, there was some type of team discussion at some point this year. Like, the guys don't just not think about this.
They're afraid to speak up, Connor.
Yeah, no, I got you. I'm just
because Bryce Harper feels one way. The younger guys in the team, they're not going to dare speak up against it.
Right, but I'm saying, like, I can say, like, with context clues, with like a guest here, an educated guest, that Bryce Harper's probably had these conversations with guys in the Phillies clubhouse. Some of them, maybe not the younger players, but he doesn't speak for all of Major League Baseball. The thing on the owner's side, though, that makes this so tough is there are owners in the sport that have really screwed over the perspective of what baseball owners are without paying players. And It's not John Middleton. And also the whole, we're not going to show you the books and everything like that, not be able to have that come out, leads to the public perception that the owners are hiding something. So there's fault on both sides of this.
I think the fans who say that, they should go into their bosses today and say, "Show me the books. Show me the books. Just show me your books. Show me. I don't like how I'm being paid. Show me your books. See what the bosses say."
No. I'm not talking about that.
No, but I mean, it's like there's a lot of economic discussions that are crazy.
I understand. I'm literally just talking about public perspective. Like, it's not just going to be the high-level players are causing this because they want to get paid more. I think a lot of people are going to look at the owners at fault for the way that a couple of owners have handled not paying their players properly.
Let's go to the Phillies clubhouse thing that you said. So you think about Bryce Harper talking. Bryce Harper, who makes $28 million this year, roughly, $27.5, talking. Zach Wheeler making $42 million this year. So, Zach Wheeler, elder statesman. Bryce Harper, maybe elder statesman. By the way, I haven't heard from Zach Wheeler, so I don't want to attach him to this. So, Bryce Harper speaks boastfully. We're not afraid to sit out a year and not get a paycheck. So then I'm just going to take you down and say, so when they have a secret ballot, how do you think Sanchez votes? Making $2 million. How do you think Tanner Banks votes? Making $785,000.
Oh, they probably want to play.
How much do you think Rojas and Kerkering and Weston Wilson and Seth Johnson and Otto Kemp? You see what happens is in these sports is the big guys who don't have any worries of finances, they talk, and they bully their locker room.
Right. I'm not saying you're wrong there. I'm not saying that guys all agree with Bryce Harper in the Phillies locker room. I'm just saying, like, I have a feeling he's had a talk with some people in the Phillies locker room. So all I can say is he may have spoken on behalf of some players on that team.
Oh, I'm sure.
But he doesn't speak on behalf of all of Major League Baseball.
I'm sure JT.
That was my only point there.
JT and Kyle and Nick Castellanos.
By the way, you bring up Zach Wheeler. The strike would be before the 27 season, right?
Yeah, so he'd lose his last year of the contract.
Before his last year.
Well, he makes 42 this year.
Before his last year of his career.
Yeah, exactly. And he may walk.
That's another thing. That's another fallout where
it's a bad
you miss
thing.
A season. There's guys that had 1 year left that go, oh, I guess I'm retiring now.
Well, Zach making 42 this year, he's not worried.
Yeah, he's
going to make
fine.
40-something next year.
Good for him, deserving. All right, coming up next.
Absolutely.
Practice moved up an hour, so we move everybody up. Jeff McClain joins us next for his Tuesday hit here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A bad outing for the Phils. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies lost Game 1 in Chicago to the White Sox 6-2. The offense was rough last night. Only scratched together 6 hits. Christopher Sanchez didn't have his best stuff on the mound either. He talked after the game about feeling a little uncomfortable out there on the mound.
I don't like to make excuses, but I felt a little sluggish, but also the weather was really humid today. But, that was just a part of it. I did feel a little, uncomfortable out there.
That statement via team translator. We'll see if the Phillies have a better effort in Game 2 tonight. 7:40 p.m. first pitch. Jesus Luzardo against Johnny Cannon, the pitching matchup. Bryce Harper also made headlines after a heated back and forth with MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred was reported during a presentation to the team. It was apparently about a potential salary cap discussion. In other Phillies news, former manager and Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg passed away yesterday following a battle with cancer. He was 65. It's another day of camp for the Eagles. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio will meet with media coming up at 8:40 a.m., an hour earlier because the Eagles bumped up practice due to the excessive heat. We'll talk to Jeff McClain of the Inquirer coming up next. Greg Caserta will join us for some MLB talk at 8:25, and Amy Fadul joins us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. The Mercedes-Benz Dream Days are back with offers on vehicles like the 2025 E-Class, CLE Coupe, C-Class, and EQE Sedan. Hurry in now through July 31st. Learn more at MBUSA.com/dream. I'm Connor Thomas for 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Sports.
Touchdown! Saquon Barkley! morning. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, BZ Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Practice gets moved up an hour, so it's time to change the show. We call audibles too, Johnny. We're just like Jalen Hurts at the line of scrimmage. And joining us now,
that's bold.
Joining us now on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business, a big day, let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. He's from the Inquirer. You got to experience the new look of Inquirer Sports, where fans can read, watch, and listen to their favorite reporters and columnists. Go to inquirer.com/sports. Our man who does a tremendous job covering the Eagles, that, of course, Jeff McClain. Jeffrey, good morning.
Hey, guys. Morning.
How you doing today, Jeff? You got an earlier day of camp because you're trying to escape the heat. I think that's very smart of the Eagles. So let's talk about camp. Adoree Jackson, I saw your story from yesterday, on the rise. I know that's one of the big battles that a lot of people are paying attention to, Jackson versus Ringo. What have you noticed so far at the beginning of camp?
Yeah, that was sort of based on Adoree Jackson getting more first-team reps at outside cornerback for the first time. Obviously, it's early, and I'm not sure that really represents much of anything. They probably have that already penciled in terms of, how they're distributing snaps between him and Kelee Ringo. But I would say, in the early going here, Jackson's kind of stood out a little more, been a little more consistent than Kelee Ringo, who, who had a strong spring. And look, this is not a this isn't a sprint. This is going to be a marathon in terms of, I think, this competition here. They haven't even put on pads yet. They will today. They haven't had a season game yet, or the joint practices with the Browns. So we have, the Eagles have a way before they make this decision. But Jackson's look. This guy's been around for a long time. He's got 80-something career NFL starts. Ringo, not quite. In fact, way far from that. So it's like your kind of standard young guy versus old guy competition, and a lot of it will go to not only what they're doing on the field, but I guess the long-term projections that the Eagles will look at in terms of Ringo's potential. Even if, let's say, Jackson does beat him out on the field, if it's close, you can see them maybe giving Ringo the opportunity, because this is a guy that they have under contract and for a little bit of an extended period here, more than I guess with Jackson. It's on a one-year deal. But that's pretty much how I see where it stacks up right now.
You've covered a lot of camps, Jeff, and I'm not saying you're old. You just have covered a lot of camps. But when you see those joint practices come about, when you get to see something like that, do you get a lot more out of watching those than you do watching normal camp activities?
Oh yeah, by far, and that's why the Eagles do it. There's other reasons they do it. They want to kind of avoid having to play the starters in the preseason, where it's obviously live football, whereas these practices are more of in a controlled setting, and you get to go up against other talents. After weeks of kind of beating on each other, you want to have an opportunity to beat someone else that isn't wearing the same uniform. So they'll keep things relatively vanilla, but you do get to go up against, let's say, with the Browns, a four-man front, the Jim Schwartz type defense. So that gives you a little bit of a look at what you may see during the season versus, going up against the same scheme, Vic Fangio scheme. The same applies from the other side of the ball. So certainly these are a benefit to the team, and me as well, is when I'm kind of looking at the players and the team and the schemes and evaluating them.
We've seen guys get dinged up in camp before and then lose out on a position battle. One other position battle that we're keeping an eye on is safety between Sidney Brown and Andrew Mukuba. I know Mukuba did not practice yesterday. What's the latest with him?
Yeah, I think he got dinged up on a specific play over the middle, ran into receiver Danny Gray, during a team drill on Saturday. And he was slow to get up. He got up, but it's a shoulder injury, so we'll see how serious that is. He was out there pretty early doing some stuff. I can't imagine it's something that's going to keep him out for an extended period. But we'll see how that plays out. But in terms of the competition, it definitely puts a dent into his odds because he's a rookie and he's still learning a lot. And anytime not on the field practicing, he's going to miss probably this first day in pads is my expectation. That makes it more difficult to go out there and win the competition. Again, it depends how long he'll be out. Definitely a leg up for Sidney Brown. But I think the Eagles want to, obviously give both of those the opportunity, but if neither really steps up to the fore, that could be a position that Howie Roseman looks to upgrade via trade.
Jeff, when you see Kevin Patullo do his job, go about his day, when you see him address the media and things like that, what do you see differences comparing and contrasting him to when Brian Johnson took over?
Well, I'm not sure if you guys asked me this question, but Kevin's been around this team for a while. He's been around Nick beyond, before they even joined the Eagles. So he has that advantage. Whereas Brian Johnson was kind of brought in and Nick evaluated him and hired him, but they had worked together previously, and he had only had the 2 years as the quarterbacks coach before they made him an OC. Now, Kevin Patullo has never been an offensive coordinator in the NFL or at any level. He's never called plays at any level, so that is similar to Brian Johnson. But I would say the advantage he has is that he's, again, as I said, he's been around a lot longer, and that doesn't go just with around Sirianni and the Eagles. That's just in terms of coaching. He's been coaching now for 17 years in the NFL. He's been around some pretty established guys. Shane Gailey is he considers him a mentor, and obviously he's had a very successful career as an offensive coordinator and had some experience as a head coach. So that would be the one thing in terms of his demeanor and et cetera. I mean, I don't think Brian was well respected by the players. I don't think there was any issue in that. Different type of guy, maybe a little more subdued perhaps than Kevin. But Kevin's kind of an affable type guy as well. But I think it's going to come down to in terms of the transition to the OC is just doing it, and he has never really done it. So that is one of the big questions heading into the season.
I want you to try to look ahead to September, Jeff. What is the role for Jahad Campbell? I know he was limited in practice yesterday with the shoulder injury, and he will be moving forward. But I know that Vic Fangio also said last week that he could see him playing edge at some point. Nakobe Dean, we don't know when he's going to be back. So what does the month of September look like for Jahad Campbell?
Yeah, Campbell's been limited, but listed as limited, but I haven't really seen him held out of much. So that's been a pleasant surprise. I don't think a lot of us expected, and even Vic Fangio back in May said he didn't expect him back fully back until mid-August. We'll see how much he does now the pads are on. They may want to hold him out a little bit because of that shoulder. You don't want him banging on it too much. In terms of his future, look, it's only going to be a matter of time before he's starting. Right? There's a first-round pick. From what I see, there don't appear to be any major concerns about him eventually being able to do that in terms of physicality, athleticism, instinct, intellect. It's just going to take some time to learn that position. It could be sooner rather than later. It could be week one. I mean, they're now already starting to kind of sprinkle him in with the first team. At times, Jeremiah Trotter has mostly been there, and it's not like Trotter's like losing the job, but it's just a first rounder versus a fifth rounder. Like that's just the way it's going to play out at some point. I don't know if it's going to be right away. I think if it isn't, I think Vic Fangio will still find a way to get Campbell on the field. You mentioned the edge. They're starting him at inside linebacker. That's where he's spending, the bulk of his time. There will be an occasion where after practice he'll work out with Jeremiah Washburn, outside linebackers coach. So I think they believe he has that flexibility, but they don't want to put too much on his plate. But if he's not started by week one, he'll be playing someone on defense, kind of like a guy that they throw out there in certain personnel packages where he gives you versatility. You could have him out on the edge. You could have him in a dime situation. You could line him up as a joker, as a rusher. So he'll eventually be starting. It could be week 1. If not, though, I think he'll play a little bit on defense to start.
Seems like some teams, the Eagles tend to operate very smoothly in training camps. Dallas suffering some injuries in training camps and everything. Not all camps are as smooth as the Eagles tend to run them.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, back in the day when Andy Reid would run, very strenuous camps, the most strenuous. Of course, they could do 2-a-days, and they would tackle to the ground and have a lot of, and you had injuries. Andy thought that was part of the process. You train these guys like boxers, right? You basically simulate as much as you can game action on the practice field. It's changed in the NFL, and certainly the Eagles are one of the teams that do probably the least amount. They've done more these last few years, but it's helped them avoid practice injury to the most extent. You're going to have guys get hurt, and they added 4 guys to the injury list yesterday. We mentioned Makuba, Devontae Smith had back stiffness, and a couple other guys that were sidelined. And that's going to happen. You're going to have some soft tissue injuries at some point. But the Eagles, over the last 5 or so years, they really kind of have been among the healthiest teams in the league. And you could say that maybe they went too far to one extreme in 2023, and that hurt them late in the season. Guys weren't conditioned enough based upon how they approached training camp. But they reversed that course last year, won a Super Bowl. Hard to argue with the results at this point.
Jeff, we appreciate the time as always, man. Stay cool out there today, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, guys. Thanks,
Jeff.
There's Jeff McClain on the Comcast Business Hotline. And, of course, you got to check out the new look of Inquirer Sports.
And his podcast is
Uncovering the Birds. Tremendous. Really, really great work. All right, coming up next, we have today's headlines with Connor Thomas. Greg Caserta joins us at 8:25 to talk about the MLB trade deadline. Vic Fangio speaks at 8:40. And the Harper thing. Fangio speaks at 8:40. From next segment until the end of the 8 o'clock hour, listen closely. We'll play Know the Show. We have the $50 gift card at Primo Hoagies. We have one every day this week. But throughout the rest of the 8 o'clock hour, just listen to the show closely. Something may pop up, and then that'll be the question at the end of the hour when we welcome in Amy Fadul as well, who'll be with us for the entire 9 o'clock hour today. So Know the Show moving forward for the $50 gift card at Primo Hoagies. Today's headlines with Connor Thomas comes your way next. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Tuesday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
We want to hear from you. So
mention, listen closely now until the end of the 8 o'clock hour. Know the show for your chance to win a $50 gift card to Primo Hoagies.
Pity.
Primo Hoagies was voted the best sandwich shop in America by USA Today for the 3rd consecutive year. Very well deserving. Don't feel like cooking? Skip the grill and get Primo Hoagies instead. It's not just hoagie, it's a Primo. I watched Happy Gilmore 2 yesterday.
Okay. So you didn't feel the need to trash it or say it was horrible, worst thing ever?
It was an hour and like 30 some minutes.
Okay.
The first hour was spectacular. Funny, nostalgic. Like, I was a Happy Gilmore 1 fan, so like
it was. Well, I think most comedy fans of dumb comedy,
right,
were, and it's dumb comedy, and it was fun.
I thought it was really funny. They brought back a lot of the characters. Like, it was great.
Okay, that's good.
I thought the last half hour was one of the worst bits of theater of movies that I've ever watched in my life. It was horrible. The last half hour.
Okay, you're the third person to say that to me, but without giving anything away.
No, I won't give anything away.
You're the third person, though, to say that exact thing. Is that
really?
They felt it? Yeah, got real. They were really disappointed in like the end.
Like
they
the first, I turned it off. I had to go pick up Cooper, and I was like, I'll finish it later, and I did.
Wow.
And I was like, all right, but.
So you're saying if the movie was better, you would have left your son?
What I would have... No.
That's what I'm hearing.
I had to stop it regardless. But what I'll say is the first hour was definitely a lot of fun. And then it was just like, you kind of just pained your way through the rest.
Yeah, it's not a great movie, but it's a fun, nostalgic thing.
Have you guys seen it yet?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, okay. So do you agree with my
I have not
analysis?
seen it yet, so I'm very excited to see it. We never got around to seeing it this week.
Connor?
Yeah, I didn't really think to break it down in like segments like that, but I just thought it was fun for people who enjoyed the first movie. It was not a great follow-up by the first movie was just like a good movie, and this was just like a fun look back.
I thought the first hour was actually funny.
Yeah.
It's just it then trailed off in a big way for me. It got too goofy. All right, time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with the Connor Thomas.
And it's brought to us by the Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com. So if you guys haven't been keeping up with it, the NFL is starting to release the names on their top 100 players list. This is voted on by other players around the league. They do this every year. And we've got a couple of Eagles on the list, but there is a surprising one. Cooper DeJean makes his debut on the top 100 at number 60. That's 9 spots ahead of Jordan Mailata. If that surprises you, well, take a listen, because it also surprised Cooper DeJean.
How does it feel being chosen to be in the top 100 by your peers?
I'm in the top 100? Really? That's, I don't even know what to think. That's pretty cool.
Cooper DeJean.
He's in the top 100? Let's go.
That's awesome, first off. Like, I love his honest, like, that's an honest reaction. Like, really? I made it? Like, that was a childish, in a good way, childish reaction.
Well, he still is a child,
I know, that's true.
I like the fact that your peers, that to me is the ultimate vote, though. Keeping the media out of it, I have much more going, his peers have that much respect for his game.
Sure.
That means they watched the takedown of Jamar Chase. They watched the takedown of the Ravens game.
I don't know.
Derrick Henry,
They watch that. They see that and they go, okay, this kid is.
Yeah, his kid
got special
really
talents.
Yeah, we talked about this last year. I don't totally value the player poll, because if a player is playing in a 4 o'clock game, they're on the field warming up at 1. They're playing in their 4 o'clock game, and odds are they're going out for a drink and food afterward. They probably didn't watch a second of football other than the tape that they were getting ready for their game for.
Okay.
So a lot of it is word of mouth. A lot of it is maybe it's the one-on-one matchup that they had. Like maybe Jamar Chase voted very highly for Cooper DeJean.
And it's the highlights that they see of each other and their peers.
But it's still a cool honor for a guy like Cooper DeJean. I don't really care about where they're ranked, whether he's higher than Mailata or not. But still, like that's a really cool honor for him to be in the top 100.
Yeah, I love Coop. I just think Mailata's obviously the better overall player. But hey, either way, there's going to be a bunch more Eagles on this list as they get into it.
Absolutely.
Now, this is something I need to know. You guys buying it or not? Because we know that the offseason for the NBA is the ultimate place for propaganda. Like Ben Simmons shooting videos.
Sure.
And everything we're hearing
In the
about,
lab, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Guys
He's
are
in the
always
lab.
in the lab. It seems like Luka's been in the lab because he's gone from too fat to play for the Mavericks to the cover of Men's Health. I don't know if you saw
Doctored,
this, but
doctored photo. My daughter says doctored photo.
Oh, not just doctored photo. The article was doctored. But go ahead.
yeah.
The photo's doctored.
No, that's it. I want to know if you're buying it or not that Luka is slimmed down for his time in LA.
I buy that he is
Slimmed down.
getting in shape.
But that photo is a altered photo. That photo is not the legitimate photo. That photo has been altered. So I believe he's slimmed down.
Yeah.
But that photo is absolutely doctored.
And a lot of people think it was AI written, which is terrifying.
Because they brought up his vertical at the combine, which he did not do.
He did not he did not
I
participate.
didn't catch
in
that
Oh
part.
yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
That's bad.
Here are his combine numbers, and
That's bad.
and
That's
he did
really
it.
bad.
So I'm looking at like inside the article. There's photos of him exercising.
Yes.
They look more natural than the one that's on the cover.
Yeah.
The cover was definitely doctored, but I do believe the guy's getting
He's
in better
slimmed down.
shape.
Well, he
Yeah.
had to be. They told him.
They straight
Stop.
up. Yeah, they straight up told him.
You're
And
bloated. Yeah.
MVP season loading for Luka? We'll
I
see.
wouldn't be
Well, he's always
surprised.
in the mix, right?
Yeah, the guy's a hell of a talent.
Absolutely. It's nice to see that he's lost the 200 pounds he needs to.
Exactly.
All right, boys.
That's unbelievable.
Oh, is that it? All right.
Well, they
that's-
doctored
We
those
got a break.
photos up. That's nice.
Yeah. All right, coming up next, I just saw him tweet about it. Greg Caserta is going to
Yes,
be
he
joining
did.
us from MLB Network. Talk about the MLB trade deadline, which is 2 days from now, and also the outburst from Bryce Harper toward the commissioner, Rob Manfred. Greg Caserta joins us next. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
An uncomfortable start for Sanchez. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies dropped game 1 to the White Sox 6-2 up in the Windy City as the offense was only able to scratch together 6 hits. It was not a great performance at the dish for the Fightins and not Christopher Sanchez's best on the mound. He talked after the game through a team interpreter about feeling a little uncomfortable out there.
I don't like to make excuses, but I felt a little sluggish, but also the weather was really humid today. But, that was just a part of it. I did feel a little, uncomfortable out there.
So we'll keep an eye on Sanchez's next start for sure. Game 2 tonight is at 7:40 p.m. Jesus Luzardo takes him out against Johnny Cannon. Bryce Harper also made headlines after a heated back and forth with MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred during a presentation to the team reportedly about a potential salary cap discussion. In other Phillies news, former manager and Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg passed away yesterday following a battle with cancer. He was 65. It's another day of camp for the Eagles. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio will meet with the media coming up at 8:40. We're going to talk to Greg Caserta of MLB Network. Coming up next for the latest on the Fightins, Amy Fadul joins us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Texting, the easiest and The Fanatic. We are 2 days away from the MLB trade deadline, which is why we head to the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next, because we need more information on what the Phillies could do 2 days from now after a wild day yesterday where one player that they're linked to, it's a home run. Another player they're linked to gets his hand hit. Another player they're linked to might not play in baseball ever again, in Emmanuel Clase from the MLB Network, does play-by-play, hosts shows, and he knows what it's like to work with John Kincade.
Oh, yes, he does.
That's Greg Caserta. Greg, good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm good. The last part of that, I think, is the most impressive thing on that resume, because if you can get through a show or even a couple with this guy, then you're doing the Lord's work. So it's good to be on with you, Andrew. And for me and John, yeah, we go back several years. Back in the old National days, I would do updates. So John's been a friend for a long time. So to actually jump on a show with him and be a guest is an actual honor.
You did so much more than updates. You were constantly chiming in on every conversation, which is good. I mean, that's what we tried to do, get you involved in as much as we could, which is fun. Now I see.
Well, as you know, certain hosts don't really want that. It's their show.
Yes.
They're driving it. They don't want the update guy chipping in. So when I saw my opening with you,
Yes.
I go, oh, my God, I'm taking advantage of every opportunity with this guy.
Well, take advantage of it now, because as a guest, I would like to know, on a week like this, how do you decipher what you're hearing, what you're reading is fact from fiction when you're sharing with the audience, that what you're getting from the whisper mill and everything like that when you're bringing stuff to the audience? Because I love to consume MLB Network product, and I find that you guys have a pretty good consistency of not getting caught up in some of the nonsense.
Yeah, I think we do a good job of that. I think what helps is that over the years we've had insiders that are very respected in the industry. There are guys out there that rush to send a tweet or rush to try and break a scoop, and then when you have to backpedal, as you know, it's not a good look. But I think what helps us is we have people that are really plugged in. We have people that are not making statements. My least favorite thing in this time is when I'm getting an echo here.
It's all right.
My least favorite thing during this time is when you see somebody and they go, the Phillies have been linked to, and then they just go on and list every single guy that's being shot by a team. Like, that to me is something that you avoid. But yeah, the Passons of the world. I think when you look at it, it's the way that they phrase things and they word things, and that's kind of what separates the garbage from something that may actually have some momentum.
When the All-Star break came to an end, Phillies president of baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski, talked about how so much can change within a 10-day span. We've seen teams go from sellers to buyers. We've seen teams go from maybe buyers to sellers. Who are some of these teams that have really seen a change in the last 10 days that could either help or hurt, in our case, the Phillies?
Well, I think now when I talk about the deadline, I think, as you guys know, expanding the playoff field has made this a more watered-down time of the year. Like, in the past, you knew that there were X amount of teams that were going to be buyers and sellers, and now there's this gray area where, like you said, 7 to 10 days swings everything. So in the blink of an eye, you look and you go, all right, are the Toronto Blue Jays really the best team in baseball? I don't think they are, but their record says that they are. So all of a sudden, they're going to be a lot more engaged. And I think as it pertains to the Phillies, and they're a team that I follow a little bit more closely just because of my proximity, following this team for a week is a really interesting study compared to following another team for a week, because I've said it really since, 2 playoffs ago. This group, this lineup, they get hot together, and they get ice cold together. So that's why the 7 to 10 day thing with the Phillies is really interesting, because if you look at their offensive numbers for the last few weeks, it's been solid. But you also know that at the flip of a switch, all of a sudden, you look at this group and you go, there's just no pop, there's no punch. So, listen, we're getting down to the deadline here. We've got 2 days left, and I want to see Dave Dombrowski get creative. We know he's done it in the past. Last year it didn't quite work out so well. Hopefully he redeems himself this time around.
I'm wondering what you think, though, of this Phillies team as far as being a team worthy of being all in on, because the lineup has obviously a lot of holes, and the bullpen obviously has a lot of holes. But the starting pitching, especially the top three, exceptional.
Yeah, I think that's why you lean a little bit, because again, if I think you felt, a lot of people felt that this was probably the last year of the window. I still believe that. I went into it picking them to win the division. I thought, all right, the team that got there 2 years ago that I think probably had a really good chance to beat the Astros. You look at this current group now and you go, all right, this is it. So I think you can win a series with those top three guys in your rotation. I think if your 1 through 5 in the order gets going at the right time, and that's really what it's all about. We say it every year. You got to get hot during the playoffs. That group can carry you. Truly. I think 1 through 5 in that lineup can win you a series, but I also think that bullpen can lose you a series. So to me, yes, we've talked about them for years. They need upgrades up the middle. They need a center fielder. That's been the talk for 2 or 3 deadlines in a row now. But for the first time, you look and you go, man, this bullpen really needs some help. And that's something that I didn't see last year where, you had Strahm, you had Hoffman, you had these guys. Now you got to really add 2 pieces, and it certainly doesn't help with the Alvarado suspension. That might have changed the outlook a little bit, but you're looking at potentially adding 2 high-end bullpen arms, and that's a big ask at the deadline.
MLB Network's Greg Caserta joins us here, and one of those bullpen arms that the Phillies were linked to, not necessarily that the Guardians were going to trade him, was Emmanuel Clase. And, of course, the news comes out yesterday that he gets put on leave. He's going to be investigated by Major League Baseball for potential gambling violations. Greg, I know this is the second Guardian that is being investigated. Is this just a Cleveland issue, or are you expecting this to become a Major League Baseball issue in the near future?
No, I don't. I think that it's an isolated incident. I think it's obviously a bad look when it's 2 pitchers from the same team. But if this was really an ongoing problem, I think we would have heard a lot more about it by now. If this was something that was affecting multiple guys, you would hear about other pitchers being popped, being put on the restricted list. I don't expect that to happen. I think that this is really an isolated incident. I don't know as much about Garcia's situation. I don't think there was probably as much written about it, but you're talking about Clase, who's one of the biggest stars. I mean, everybody that watches baseball knows who Emmanuel Clase is. You don't get that with a lot of relievers. So, from what I gather, it was analyzing the number of waste pitches he threw, pitches that he threw to begin an at-bat. It was very, very specific. Not something that I fully understand, to be quite honest with you. And again, in the end, they could analyze this and look and say, all right, it was a whole lot of smoke but no fire, and you could see Clase back on a mound. I'd like to get more information about it before I make more of a concrete statement, but no, I don't think that this is something that's going to be widespread.
Greg, I love working my phone to try to find out stories, and when I saw that Bryce Harper story leak yesterday, or leak and get reported about Bryce Harper getting nose-to-nose with the commissioner and telling him, get the F out of our clubhouse, I tried to find out from some other people around Major League Baseball. He's visited other clubhouses where there are other incidents like this, and it appears that I'm hearing there doesn't seem to be any other whispers of any other team having any other incidents like this. I personally feel Bryce Harper telling that, we're not afraid to take a year off and not make any money for a year is incredibly arrogant. A guy making $27 million a year can say that when 60% of the roster probably like, we don't know where our next year, as far as for our finances, we really want that money.
Well, now let's look at it this way, John. Obviously, you're talking about guys in that clubhouse that make the major league minimum. Yeah, okay, so you alienate yourself from them a little bit. But also, in these situations, when you have these looming lockouts, fans usually identify with the players. They just do. The players are the ones who drive the sport. They're the ones that people turn on the TV to watch. This is where you lose the fans a little bit. A comment like that is where the fans look and they go, Yeah, and that's where somebody kind of gets swayed, and they go, "Yeah, I don't care what happens with this lockout because I can't root for either side." So that's why I saw the same thing, John, and I looked and I went, "Oh, that's not good." And obviously, read Passon's story about it. Read some others about it, and what you said before. Thank goodness that you didn't hear more incidents like this happening around different clubhouses, because again, we know the talk that's out there. Everybody is talking about this as almost a foregone conclusion that in 2027 there's going to be a lockout. I have to be very careful with what I say about that. All I can say is that I hope that the Suns figure it out and that there's baseball and that we're on time. But the recent discourse about it, and certainly hearing it from that perspective and that side of it, it's not a good look. And I just hope that we can enjoy baseball right now, and that when the off season rolls around and maybe there's some more headway and more conversations about 2027, I hope that tempers cool, and I hope that they're able to figure it out, because one thing I can say is that the sport's in a really good place, I think, from where it was 5 years ago. And I would hate to see any of that progress lost, because I love this sport, as you know, and I love being able to cover it.
Absolutely, Greg. Listen, man, thank you so much for the time. We'll be following all of the MLB Network's coverage of the upcoming trade deadline. We know it's going to be crazy here in Philadelphia. I know it's going to be crazy throughout the league. Thank you for the time this morning.
Thanks, Greg.
Boys, thank you. Appreciate you having me on. It's the best station in the city, so anytime you need me, I'll be there.
Thank you, buddy.
The best. There's Greg Cassard on the Comcast Business Hotline from the MLB Network. We go from baseball to football. Vic Fangio speaks to the media next here on Kincade and Salciunas 97.5.
.97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, Eagles training camp is going pretty much as planned. I'm Connor Thomas, and no major news, which is a good thing for this time of year. We've continued to hear from players and coaches on the mindset heading into this season, and sometimes we do get a little bit caught up with these stats that are brought out from training camp practices. Remember, this is just training camp, and Cam Jurgens met with media and talked about his thoughts on stats being tweeted out from just practices.
First day with pads, so it's hard to tell just from one practice. I don't really count any of the practices without pads. They're fake. It's not football. 7-on-7 doesn't matter. Stop tweeting about stats or whatnot. Doesn't matter.
Clearly doesn't matter to Cam. Doesn't matter to some people out there. So we'll keep our eyes more when the Eagles actually get on the field for games. But we also got a chance to hear about an injury that had popped up, just something light. And Nick Sirianni talked yesterday about Jalen Carter, who had missed a couple of practices.
He'll be out there today. So I'm not going to get too much into injuries or anything like that, but he'll be out there today. Looking forward to having him out there today.
And that's good news, too. Not that there were major concerns about Carter, but the Eagles seem healthy to this point, and we'll continue to knock on wood, cross our fingers, and hope. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hi, my name is Phil E.
Two here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. Don't forget this hour, know the show at the end of it for the $50 gift card to Primo Hoagies. Amy Fadul is going to be joining us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. But it's time now to hear from the defensive coordinator of your Philadelphia Eagles. Here's Vic Fangio.
For me? All right. They came through. Good. You know people. My all-time favorite Philly right there.
What was it about him that you like so much?
Well, he was their best player when I was young, and he was obviously a great player.
Stories of his home runs are fairly legendary for those of us that didn't see.
You know, a couple years ago, I golfed with Goose Gossage, and we played 18 holes. We rode the same cart, and I talked baseball with him. And he played with Allen in Chicago. He said he was the best teammate he'd ever had. So a little bit of the...
Long overdue Hall of Fame. Sadly overdue.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk football.
Really?
Yeah. Morrow, we've talked about him a lot. You said he impressed last year, but you would always bring up, he's a lighter guy. How do you think he's going to be able to hold up inside with additional snaps?
I think he'll hold up well. He did last year when he played in there. He's a year older, a year of playing significant snaps under his belt, getting reps here in training camp. I think he'll do good.
With Adoree Jackson, his experience, how much does that show up on the field, and what about his game shows that experience?
Yeah, the first few days out here, he was kind of like he didn't know he was out there. The ball wasn't going his way at all. And then yesterday, he had a couple balls thrown his way, and he did very well. He had a very good day yesterday. It's too early to say what his experience is or isn't right now. He's played a good bit of ball, but I think this is the place where he's got to, show who he is and be the player, hopefully, that people have always thought he could be.
What did he look for the most?
What did he look like in film
A year ago, and then he eventually gets benched, but did you chalk that up more as a team wanting to look at younger players than anything he was doing?
No, I didn't watch a whole lot of tape on him. Howie kind of wanted to sign him, and when Howie wants to sign somebody, it doesn't matter what I say. So we just took him in, and I didn't really watch a lot of his tape last year, but I've seen him play over the years. Saw him when he was coming out of college. So,
Why do you think that this is the place that he can maybe show? You mentioned what he could be. Is it the scheme?
Yeah, I don't know if I think it's the place. I think it's time for him to show that. He in Tennessee, when it came time to re-sign him, after his contract was up, they didn't. The Giants' contract was up, they didn't. It's time to show who he is or who he isn't.
What's the little things you're looking at when you're deciding on who's winning a job at corner that might not stand out, obviously, in practice?
Just who's playing better. I mean, a lot of the times, it's easy for you guys to see when a guy makes a good play, but there's a lot of times where they got a good play going that the ball doesn't go there, so you don't really know it, and vice versa. They may have a bad down going, and the ball doesn't go there, so it doesn't get exposed. So it's just consistent, overall good play. And just because the ball did or did not go his way, those plays are just as important in evaluating.
What can Ruben do while he's out, and how long do you expect that in training camp, and how much does that weigh into how much he's able to do?
Yeah, I mean, he just has to pay attention to meetings to get mental reps, but there's no replacing physical reps. Meetings and mental reps are good, but the value of them compared to physical reps is night and day.
Along those lines, can you see any improvement in Sidney to where he was? Obviously, a year ago, he went
Yeah.
to the field with.
Yeah, he's finally getting to start in the OTAs training camp to learn his way through the system and learn how we expect him to play. And he had no chance of that last year. So I see him getting better.
From the standpoint of the entire defense, a week into camp, how well do you think your unit's picking things up this year compared to last year?
I don't know. I can't. Obviously, a lot of them are doing better because even though we lost a lot of players on defense, there's still a lot of players that were here. So we're probably doing a little bit better in that mode.
What has impressed you the most about Jahan Campbell now that you've gotten a chance to see him in some of the team drills?
Yeah, I do see him making small strides every day. Again, it may not be noticeable to the average eye, but he's making good strides. And if he can keep making those strides, I think he'll be what we had hoped he would be.
What have you noticed about Mac McWilliams the first week?
Yeah, Mac's got some good football instincts. He's got to learn the finer points of what we're doing all the time. You know, he's a little hit and miss with that right now, but that's to be expected. But I do like the player. I think he's got good skill, and he's got a little football savvy to him, which, you know, if you don't have that, it's hard to coach that.
How far advanced is Trotter?
How what?
How far advanced from a year ago is Trotter?
Yeah, he's much more advanced, obviously. He got to be a part of the team last year, went through everything last year. Don't believe he was ever hurt last year, never missed any time. Good, now, second year through in the same system. He's much better than he was last year at this time.
Davis come along with Cooper in that sort of dual role, safety in the base.
Yeah. I think it's going fine. We just haven't, to be honest, we haven't had enough snaps of it for him. Our offense is primarily playing 11 personnel out there against us. So, you know, we haven't had a ton of base snaps up to this point. Like to see him get some more and get him tested. I don't know that he's ever truly been tested yet with a hard play.
That's something you can coordinate with maybe?
Yeah, I mean, we'd like to be able to. Right now, we haven't been able to.
Jordan Davis has lost weight.
Let me ask you this: ball skills, does that improve with time? Does it improve with drills? How do you work on ball skills in particular?
Yeah, I think it can improve, obviously, with work. And I think the work he's put in has made it. He has improved. He had a nice interception yesterday, which I don't know if he makes last year. But ball skills is a natural thing, too. So the improvement you can make is incremental. But any improvement he can make, he'll make because he'll work at it.
When Jordan Davis has lost weight, you said 26 pounds, does that correlate to him actually being able to get lower in his pass rush? He's not too upright.
It should, you know, because when you get tired, you don't get low enough. And if you're tired, you know, he should, in theory, not be as tired as quick as he used to be.
In terms of, like, adding more to your pass rush moves?
Yeah.
Would that happen because of...
I think so. Anytime you move better, particularly when you're talking about pass rush, you open up a new world for yourself. And with his length, he's got to be able to use his length when it's an advantage, and then he's got to make himself 6'2" when he needs to by bending his knees.
What's your evaluation of the edge rush depth so far with guys like Josh Uche and Cito Gilliard? How do you feel about the entire edge rush group in terms of depth?
Yeah, I feel good about Nolan, and Jalix is making good strides. You know, after that, we got some heavy competition going on. And, you know, nobody's really truly surfaced yet, good or bad. You know, hopefully over the course of this camp and preseason games, that will play itself out.
With Jahad Campbell, you said, with Jahad,
what's that?
You said with Jahad Campbell, there's small strides in coverage. How have you seen those strides for him, particularly working with man? Just some individual drills with the running backs. How can they progress there?
Yeah, those are all just teaching drills. You know, for an inside linebacker, he needs to show his improvement 11 on 11. You know, the most fundamental thing you have to do on defense is figure out if it's a run or a pass. And that's critical for an ILB. And the more reps he can get that way, the better it will be.
General Vic, how do you weigh those one-on-ones in the evaluation process versus the team reps?
Me personally, I don't weigh him a lot.
Where are you with install of the defense? Cam mentioned he thought it was completely installed. Is that the case?
Totally installed? No.
I didn't know if he would know, but he thought it was. Cam Jurgens.
Oh, Cam
Jurgens.
Our center?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He thought it was completely installed.
Our defense?
Yeah.
No, we got some stuff for him.
How do you like Ty Robinson?
He's doing fine. He's competing. He's in great shape. And, probably this is his first real opportunity. And I think he's trying to do his best to take advantage of it. And, he's right there.
What changes defensively when you're evaluating when the pads come on?
What changes? Again, I think the action speeds up. The play action, the run game, all speeds up. And it's better, Again, like I said, the most fundamental thing you have to do on defense is figure out if it's a run or a pass. And that's more realistically accomplished in a padded practice.
After all your years coaching, how much do you enjoy or not enjoy a hot day like this at training?
It's not hot today. That's a mindset, We're going to play some hot games in September, and if you cave to a hot day in training camp, we're in trouble.
So many players talk about the box drill as something that's productive for them. What's the background for that, and I guess why do you favor it so much?
I just like the drill. It was a drill that I implemented, 10, 15 years ago to get players ready for change of direction, reacting to the offense. And then I quickly found out it was a really good conditioner, and it's a great drill. And we do it a lot in the spring. Clint's done it a little bit with the D-line out here. It's a tremendous drill, and it's kind of one of those few drills that I think is football specific and gets guys ready and in shape for football, not just running wind sprints or gassers. Nobody runs a gasser on the football field.
Were you wearing the sweatshirt all practice?
Hell yeah.
All right, there's Vic Fangio, defense coordinator. John and I both in love with Vic. We were in love with Vic last year. We continue to be in love with Vic Fangio. His press conferences are great, and there's a lot of good stuff from it. We'll react to it coming up next with Amy Fadul, who is here and ready to go, who will join us for the remainder of the 9 o'clock hour. I'll also ask the Know the Show question right to start the 9 o'clock hour. The first person to get the answer right will get the $50 Primo's gift card. That comes your way next. It is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils fall to the White Sox. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phils dropped Game 1 up in Chicago to the White Sox 6-2. The offense was only able to put together 6 hits in the game last night, so they did not get their job done. And Christopher Sanchez wasn't at his best on the mound either. He talked about struggling a little bit with the weather and the travel day from New York. Apparently, the Phils' plane was heavily delayed, leaving their series in the Bronx. But either way, losing to the White Sox like that, not a great thing for the Titans. Game 2 tonight is at 7:40 p.m. Jesus Luzardo faces off against Johnny Cannon in the pitching matchup. Bryce Harper also made some headlines yesterday after a heated discussion was reported between him and MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred during a presentation to the team. The news just came out yesterday. The presentation was previously, but it was reportedly about a potential salary cap discussion. In other Phillies news, former manager and Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg passed away yesterday following a battle with cancer. He was 65. It's another day of camp for the Eagles. You just heard from defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. They'll have practice starting in just a couple minutes, so we'll keep you updated on that. Amy Fadul joins the guys coming up next, and she'll stay for the remainder of the show. This update's brought to you by Aleve. Traffic and body pain can slow you down, but don't let the pain stop you. With just one pill, Aleve provides up to 12 hours of pain relief so you can keep moving. Use as directed. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, at BC Media Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. It is a Tuesday, which means for the remainder of the show, Amy Fadul from NBC Sports Philadelphia joins us. Amy, good morning.
Good morning. Great to hear from you guys. Great to hear you all this morning.
It's a wild day today.
It's been a wild day.
It's been all over.
It's been a fast day because there's been so much to react to, and we will do that over the next hour. But before that, first person to get this answer right, Luka Doncic. We talked about it during today's headlines with one Connor Thomas. Was on the cover of what magazine, whether it looked real or not. What magazine? The first person to get it right at 610-206-0975. 610-206-0975 will win the $50 gift card at Primo Hoagies. Congratulations to Primos. They were voted best sandwich shop in America by USA Today for the third consecutive year. If you don't feel like cooking, skip the grill and get Primo Hoagies instead. It's not just hoagie, it's a Primo. We have a $50 gift card to give away every single day this week. Love that. So, yeah, Amy, we just heard from Vic Fangio. I know you were listening out there on the couch. I love Vic Fangio. I just love how he is straight to the point. I love that, Cam Jurgens was talking about things. And he's like, oh, yeah, we got another thing coming for him. Like, it's great. Like, Vic Fangio is the best. One of the things that I took note of, he was asked about Adoree Jackson, because right now that's the big competition, is cornerback, other side than Quinyon Mitchell, and, of course, safety between Makuba and Brown. And he basically made it seem like he had nothing to do with the Adoree Jackson signing.
He said flat out, I didn't want I didn't want
it. Yeah, without saying it that way.
Like it was almost like he was surprised.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
He's like, how we signed
we got
him.
this guy. All right.
He said, Carolina had him, then they didn't want to pay him. Yeah. Giants had him, they didn't want to pay him. Now it's time for him to show who he is or show who he isn't. He said he didn't watch any of his film. I guess he didn't really have much interest in Adoree Jackson. And by a lot of the reporters that are there so far, he's liked what he's seen. He's in the lead between him and Ringo.
It's so great because anytime I would think as a player, it's exceptionally nerve-wracking to have Vic Fangio say your name because it could be either really good or really bad. Like Zach Bond blew up, right? And he turned in everything that we thought he was going to be. And then when he was talking about Bryce Huff last year, I was like, well, that is just a death knell for that guy. So I think it's interesting that he seems surprised. I don't know if it was like he didn't want him. It was so much like he wasn't on his radar. It was just like, oh, this guy. And so then he had to kind of go back and like look at him. But I think that's actually probably helpful for Adoree Jackson that Fangio did never look at his tape because then he had no preconceived notion. You know what I mean? Like that he didn't say, oh, this guy did this, this, and this. He sees him exactly for what he is right now. And I think that's helpful.
He's one of those guys that I look at him as I think of him as a college player.
Adoree Jackson,
And I'm like, oh, man. He's got skills, he's got talent, he's got everything, and it's never translated yet. Mm-hmm. But it's there. It's there, whether it's unleashed. And I'm like, okay, if this guy can't unleash it, nobody can.
Right. It's almost like the same, when you're looking at some of Mekhi Becton.
Right, exactly.
Came through last year, and it was like Isaiah Rodgers, maybe even to a lesser extent. But, Mekhi Becton was a guy that first, wow, he's so big, he's going to be, and never had lived up to it until he got into the right system, maybe with the right coaching and the right motivation of like, this might be your last hope, guy. Like, this might be it. So I think Adoree Jackson could have a little bit of combination of that.
By the way, Vic Fangio going full sweatpants.
He said it wasn't that hot.
Sweatshirt.
Not that hot.
He said, and you know what? He's not wrong.
I mean, it's not that hot.
It's that hot.
What he's not wrong in saying is that's just a mindset. If you cave in camp, we'll be in trouble because they play in Tampa in September where it will be hot.
Okay, now that maybe it's a message because maybe it's based on last year.
It was hot in
Tampa.
But
then again, Nick says nothing that happened in the past are we going to like?
Right. Well, that's Sirianni's mindset.
Hopefully,
Vic may not feel
Vic Fangio's mindset is
how they
he should have made them practice in sweats. To get them ready for
Tampa.
Tampa.
Put them in the dome and just piped in humidity.
I'm sure the NFL Players Association would love that. They'd have a meeting at a strip club probably.
They would. No, and then someone would get in the commissioner's face and say, "Yeah."
No, that's baseball.
Yeah.
No, those happen in locker rooms. The football meetings happen at Magic City.
There we go.
Speaking of the Heat, Amy, let's play Christopher Sanchez from yesterday after the Phillies lost to the White Sox. In case you're wondering why they lost to the White Sox, this could be the reason why.
I don't like to make excuses, but yeah, we did have a long game. Yes, a long day yesterday, a really long day, and I felt a little sluggish. But also the weather was really humid today. But that was just a part of it. I did feel a little uncomfortable out there.
It's just something that you don't say.
It's interesting because Topper also mentioned it. And I think Sanchez must have said something to him because he was like, it also was interesting that as bad as he was 1, 2, 3, 4, he was better 5, 6, and part of 7. So I was like, did your body just kind of get comfortable with it out there? I think that he was probably utilizing some of his pitches incorrectly. I was listening to Ricky afterwards, and then we watched the tape because I did Sportsnet Central. Like, you could tell going to certain, like the slider maybe wasn't the best idea at certain times. But, yeah, I mean, I get it. You can be a little sluggish. We all are when you open up out, especially if you've been inside, then you go outside and you're like, ugh. But it's not, I mean, it's not July 1st. It's not July 1st.
Yeah.
Okay. The heat didn't just arrive.
No.
And the delay, though, there were flight delays on Sunday.
Yes, there were.
So there were some flight delays. So there's a little thing. Is the flight delays, though, in a first-class charter is a little different than you're not flying coach.
You're sitting in a couch.
You're not a coach. It is. It's like a cat. Then by the way, they have card tables.
Yeah, they're just fine.
Like people don't realize they have card tables. You can play.
You can stand up when you're taking
Right.
off and landing.
It's
you can put
unbelievable.
that tray table down whenever you want.
Really? They're not.
None of those. There's no rules on those.
You can do that on normal flights. You just got to be sneaky about it.
The tray table. She will come and find you.
Damn right.
She'll find you.
She
Just
will
lean
find
on
you,
it
Connor.
real quick.
There you go.
All right, well, speaking
Tray
of
table bad
the
boy over
Phillies, speaking of baseball, we are 2 days away from the MLB trade deadline. John asked me a question yesterday on post-show headlines that we talked about on the air today. Are you more excited or anxious? We get Amy's answer, and we'll check the text line as well. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Tuesday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philly fans, you are the best sports fans in the world. You're not stupid, so why should you have to hear outlandish
$50 gift card at Primo Hoagie's last segment. How about your way to get a $50 voucher for just $25 to the Mezza Mediterranean Grill? I love Mediterranean food, man. It's so good. Enjoy flavor-packed Mediterranean bowls, wraps, and salads made with the freshest locally sourced ingredients. Locations in King of Prussia, Conshohocken, Mount Laurel, and Hamilton. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. All right, Amy, post-show headlines, something that Johnny and I do after every single show on YouTube, our YouTube page.
You can like and subscribe, Amy. We would love to see
we would appreciate it. And you can comment sometimes. We ask people to do that as well.
I'll have to comment.
No, she can join it one day. If
Sure.
She wanted to.
You're in on Friday, right?
I am. And
You can
Monday.
do it if you wanted to do it.
You might be doing post-show headlines Friday.
You wanted to do it.
So we do all kinds of stuff. Sometimes completely off topic, nothing to do with sports. Sometimes it's life-related questions. I have a life-related question based off of something that's happening at my house right now. I have the carpet being put into the basement. Simple Charm from Deptford. Can't wait to talk about them
Love
more.
the folks at Simple Charm.
But the carpet's getting put in there today. Really excited. So one of the questions yesterday was a sports-related question, and it was Phillies, and it was trade deadline. And John asked me whether or not I was more anxious or excited for the trade deadline. What would your answer be?
Yeah. I mean, anxiously excited, excitedly anxious. I mean, the answer is really both if you think about it.
Can't give us a Connor.
Yeah,
You
but
have
if
to.
I chose, I'm anxious.
Anxious,
Yeah,
same.
I'm anxious.
Because
Everybody's answering anxious.
This
The thing
team
is,
can
I
either
have-
be a World Series contender or
Yeah.
not come Thursday at 6:01.
I'm not an anxious person. I don't have any anxiety. Nothing really gets me. But I do have a little bit of nervousness because you're just thinking, like, this is really important. This is a really important. They're all important, but this is a really important trade deadline based on where this team is performing, what the expectations are, where the aging core is going. It's like, what's the window look like? And if you don't make a move right now to get a reliever and a right-handed bat, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
So I'm anxious.
And I don't believe that this team is winning anything right now. And literally,
They could win a series just with a start at 3, but that would be it.
6:01 p.m. and then the following 6:01 a.m. when you and I are doing the show together
Yep,
Friday
Friday.
morning, my mood is going to be impacted one way or another. And there's no, oh, I like what I saw. No, it's going to be I'm either very happy or I'm going to be very miserable. Be prepared.
I think a couple years ago we could have been placated by a move here and there because we could be convinced. And yes, this core is good enough and they're fine. And they only needed one piece, and it was Austin Hayes, and we got him. But I think this year it's no. Like, there are definitive things that are pressing needs, and if they're not met, there's going to be a lot of anxiety.
Do you have a wish list?
Yeah, I mean, a
What do we
reliever.
got?
A reliever.
Can you prioritize it?
Yeah, but do we have names?
No,
because
I mean, like, you need both. It is 1 and 1A. You have to have a reliever.
Okay, so if more resources had to be
Bautista was my
allocated,
guy, but-
if
Yeah, I
more
know.
resources had to be allocated to acquiring one, you had to leverage a little bit more of your resources to fill one hole.
reliever. It's doomed
That's
them
what I
last
would
year.
do, too.
It doomed them last year, and it's doomed them parts of this year and games they should have won. Yes, I think the bats, can come alive, and I think that they can get through, and I think you could piecemeal it with different things and maybe different lineups. If you really had to, you only had one. It would have to be a reliever, but you really need both.
Okay. Connor, what do we got on the text line? I know that was been a lot of texters coming in on that discussion. What do we got?
Yeah, we have had people checking in on that, the strike thing, everything. But Jacob from Clearwater checks in and says, with the recent news of top targets getting taken off the board, I predict a deadline where we get Helsley, Arenado, and call up Crawford. That would be the only moves that I see them able to make.
So Helsley and Arenado, I know we talked about that like last week.
I'd be happy.
I'm just trying to figure out then what's next. So Bohm goes to first, Harper goes to the
that's what
outfield.
happens.
Yeah.
And then Castellanos goes to left, and I am much happier with that lineup.
Why not put Harper in left.
Yeah, I would rather have Harper.
Harper go to left? Okay.
Just because you don't want to mess around with two positions.
I just want
also better defensive player.
You just asked Bryce's permission.
Yeah, ask what
He's
he wants.
already
You're
said
right.
sure Bryce's
He said
permission.
he's fine with it.
Well, if you ask him for his permission, he may say, "Get the bleep out of my clubhouse."
He might do that too.
Well, no, I don't think the commissioner was asking for permission.
Might do that.
That
There you
was
go.
amazing. What else we got on the text line?
All right, we also have a check-in on the lockout stuff, and this texter says, when the 1993 strike happened, it cost me not only months of a sport I loved as a 13-year-old, it gave me a negative view of MLB and caused me to stay away from the game for many years. A lengthy strike or lockout would impact other kids similarly.
Yeah, and when we had Greg Caserta on, he said something that I said earlier in the show. Baseball is on an upswing right now.
Mm-hmm.
It would be horrible for them to have a lockout, even if it's for like 60 games. There's another sport that has negotiations going on right now, the WNBA. I think that would be detrimental to them. Like they're on the map.
You're
right?
trying to, attendance is actually up. It's up
Correct.
across the board.
It's doubled in 2 years.
Yeah, people are excited. Like there's expansion teams. If you derail that, I mean, that would be
It would be detrimental to that league.
baseball
and baseball. I mean,
what happened?
how many times in the last 10 years did you hear baseball is dying? The death of
Right.
baseball.
No one watches
Nobody
anymore.
watches. Nobody cares.
It's getting too old.
Getting too old.
It's too long.
And props to Rob Manfred. I will give him props. We talked about this a few weeks ago when A-Rod said he should be in the Hall of Fame. It like pains me to say it, but props to Rob Manfred. The pitch clock has sped up the game. The banning of the shift has allowed more balls in play, which that's what a lot of people were complaining about. There are still issues with the sport of baseball, but clearly the changes that have been made have allowed the baseball to get back on the map again. I'm sure gambling is a big part of it, right? Like I understand that. Like there's people that are sitting down and watching baseball games more, maybe because they have skin in the game.
Sometimes
maybe
playing.
some of the players, right? Sometimes the players. But ultimately, if you lose another season,
I mean, that's the thing. What brought baseball back from that 93 lockout?
Steroids.
Yeah. I mean, was the home run contest, derby / whatever that was. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone was locked in for that. You don't want to have that. You can't have that again. It was fun at the
maybe
time.
you do let them gamble and they go extra hard.
Yes. And steroid it up. Like, let's
Gambling
just
why not do both?
Let's
Yeah.
get it. Put the bananas in as the 31st team. Let's get nuts.
I just hope that this doesn't happen.
I bet you their attendance would be better than a lot of teams.
Yeah, probably.
It's only because there's only so many of those games. If they played 162, no one would go.
I bet you there'd be more
wouldn't.
Bananas fans than Marlins fans.
Well, there's other stuff to do in Miami.
That's true. All right, coming up next, as sports continue to try and find ways to improve, like we just talked about baseball, could you improve Hall of Fames? It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A rough start in Chicago. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies lost their first game up in the Windy City to the White Sox 6-2 as the offense was only able to put together 6 hits. One of the worst teams in baseball also made Christopher Sanchez look a little bit human. He didn't have his best stuff on the mound, and he talked after the game about feeling a little uncomfortable with the conditions.
I don't like to make excuses, but I felt a little sluggish, but also the weather was really humid today, but, that was just a part of it. I did feel a little, uncomfortable out there.
That quote via team translator. We'll see if the Phils have better luck tonight in Game 2, 7:40 p.m. first pitch with Jesus Luzardo on the mound facing off against Johnny Cannon. Bryce Harper also made headlines after a reported heated back-and-forth conversation with MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred during a presentation to the team about a salary cap discussion. So we'll keep you updated as those baseball labor negotiations are going to get ugly, folks. In other Phillies news, former manager and Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg passed away yesterday following a battle with cancer. He was 65. It's another day of camp for the Eagles. They bumped up practice an hour due to the excessive heat, so they're out there right now. Amy Fadul, she's right here with us right now, and she'll stay with us for the remainder of the show. This update's brought to you by Aleve. Traffic and body pain can slow you down, but don't let the pain stop you. With just one pill, Aleve provides up to 12 hours of pain relief so you can keep moving. Use as directed. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I think Amy is
just Tuesdays with Amy.
I think Amy is the
Just Tuesdays with me.
the disapproving sister.
Oh,
She's the
judgy.
She could be she's not judgy.
Wow.
She just looks at us. She looks at us sometimes, and sometimes she nods in approval. Sometimes she looks at us like, "What the hell are you guys talking?"
Mainly to you.
Please.
Todd Zalecki. By the way, before we get to this Hall of Fame discussion that John and I had on, speaking of post-show headlines, yesterday as well. Todd Zalecki put out a story after the game ended last night.
Todd's been on a good run.
He's great. Always loved Todd's work. Something interesting in the story. The Phillies are looking for a closer. No shock, right?
That's a shocker.
It is their greatest need. But the pickings for high-end relievers are slim, with Aroldis Chapman pitching for now a postseason contender, Baltimore's Felix Bautista injured, and Cleveland's Emmanuel Clase just being placed on the non-disciplinary paid leave through August 31st. If the Phillies can't get the reliever they want before the deadline, they could put more resources into the lineup. So there could be a chance where, yeah, they get Suarez. He mentions Suarez by name in the story. He mentions Luis Robert Jr.
Oof.
What if there's the chance instead of the 2 bullpen guys, 1 bat, it's 2 bats and
this team's not winning a World Series.
You figure something out with the bullpen.
And don't tell me that, well, Jesus Luzardo's going to the bullpen, so that'll fix it. No, that doesn't fix it.
Well, there's something from Dave Dombrowski's past that people should maybe look at here, because you brought up Shane Bieber earlier, Andrew, and we're like, well, the Phillies aren't going to look at starting pitching.
Nice,
2018, the Boston Red Sox, who ended up winning the World Series, needed bullpen help, and Dave Dombrowski went out and traded for Nate Eovaldi, who was a starting pitcher, who ended up pitching big time out of the bullpen for that team. So maybe if pickings are slim for a reliever, we see a surprise move for a starter that then becomes a bullpen.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be a Bieber. It would.
No. I'm just saying. Like that. That's the thing.
Nestor Cortez, I saw is
available.
it's
like the guys that are the starters that are available is, I mean, it's like picked over. It's not a good list
unless Ranger Suarez.
Exactly.
Who is not?
Just kidding. Not going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
All right. So Amy, yesterday also on post-show headlines, John and I had a conversation about Hall of Fames because the baseball Canton induction ceremony happened over the weekend, and it was great. And so we started talking about if we could improve Hall of Fames. John and I both had different answers. John, I want you to go first because you would want to reorganize the building.
I'd want to sort of reorganize it into the. I always look at it as, I would say is there's a table, like you're sitting at a table at the Hall of Fame, and you walk
like
up
which
to
one?
it. You walk up to it here, and here's
Baseball's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Baseball's Hall of Fame. Here's Nolan Ryan, and here's Steve Carlton, and then CC Sabathia comes up, and to me, CC Sabathia, fine. Hall of Fame. Numbers are there. I never watched CC Sabathia and thought he should be sitting at Nolan Ryan's table. Like, to me, I think there's layers to statistic guys and then layers to all-time greats.
Well, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Craig Biggio, Hall of Famer, 3,000 hits, right?
Yeah.
But, like, when I think of that
Did you watch him and
when
go,
I think of the Stros, I thought of Berkman Bagwell before I thought of Biggio.
I mean, they were all B's, but yes. Berkman and
like
Bagwell, I always thought it was first.
Like when you watch Craig Biggio play,
solid
player. Okay, solid. But do you watch him and go, Henry Aaron?
I mean, that's,
like when you watch it, Mike Schmidt? Like they're all in the Hall of Fame, same level. Like I think there should be, Hall of Fame should be sort of wings. There's the...
But don't you think there are, I mean, for people, that's all a matter of personal opinion, and I think people go to the Hall of Fame looking for their guy. They want to go see their guy, Roy Halladay. They don't care about Steve Carlton. Do you know what I mean? There's some people
going with an agenda.
You know what I mean? But I see what you're saying as far as like there's going to be guys that you're like Tim Raines. You're like, okay,
right.
You took 85 years to get in, still deserving, but are you on the same level? But I don't know. Then it's like, don't you water down? I mean, some might say the Hall of Fame is watered down.
I think it big time is.
Then you're really even watering it down. Now you've made classes of classifications in there. I don't know.
I think the fact that the NFL...
You're in.
The NFL makes you put 7 people in every year. Mandates that 7 people go in every year is crazy.
In different ways. Yes, they're not all players.
Like, to me, that's crazy.
Now...
Like mandating.
Now, I have one that I think could be an improvement, and it could base these conversations. And you just said, if you're in, you're in, right, Amy?
Right. If you're in, you're in.
I want to get rid of, and this is harsh, but I think there are baseball voters, and I'm focusing strictly baseball here. I think there are baseball voters that look at the ballot and go, I think that guy's a Hall of Famer, but I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
It's the people that are like, well, Babe Ruth didn't get in on unanimous, so I'm not voting for literally Ken Griffey or Tony Gwynn.
Ichiro this past weekend, yeah.
I remember I was working in Baltimore when Tony Gwynn and Cal Ripken went in together. Two guys that played for one organization, no doubt about Hall of Famers. And I was like, certainly they're going to get like 90%. They were like in the 87%. Like,
yes.
You didn't vote for Tony Gwynn?
Right.
And I remember when we were going around and kind of doing some of the tours with them as we were following them, there were some voters, some of these writers would talk about, well, they played during the steroid era. You thought Tony Gwynn did steroids?
Right.
No, but he played. I'm sorry, sir. What?
What did it have to do with Tony Gwynn? Tony Gwynn looked like he was.
Can you imagine if he did steroids?
Seriously. Oh my gosh.
But if that's where if I had to change the Hall of Fame, I would change some of the process.
Or this player wasn't nice to us.
How about Bob Myers?
Yeah.
He did not vote for Terrell Owens because, he
was not nice to me.
I think he's a Hall of Famer, but I didn't think he was a great locker room guy, so I can't put him on my first ballot. So here's the deal. One ballot, and that's it. And I know that's harsh. That's harsh, but that's why you have the Veteran Council where they go, hold on a second. We played with these guys. We know a little bit more about how they acted on the field.
Right.
We'll then do the second ballot. Like the second ballot should be the Veteran Committee, but the first ballot, it's are you a Hall of Famer, yes or no?
Yes or no?
How about this?
With your eye test and your numbers test, did you pass it?
So the folks that are the outlier voters that are not voting for these lock Hall of Famers that basically everybody else agree. What if a player was voted in by 95% or more of the vote, the 5% that did not vote yes on that player lose their vote?
No. Can't do that because they
put them on like probation.
No, they could be like if it becomes
or they lose
a
year,
or if it becomes a pattern. I think this is the best part about it.
There are some guys that will not vote because Babe Ruth wasn't unanimous. Not doing it.
There was a day where baseball writers were the number one conduit of information for people.
Yep.
That's not today.
No.
It's 2025.
Still a good conduit.
It's a great conduit.
Not the only.
But it's not today.
Give podcasters a vote.
No, to me, what I would suggest is this: is I personally
the locked on voters.
I personally think the best Hall of Fame. I'd say here's a panel of current players. Here's a panel of veteran players who have retired in a pertinent thing, and then executives.
Yeah, you need like front office people.
I would say
Dick Allen would have got in
executives and everything.
Right.
And I would have had no media. My vote would be no media involved because
there's too much personal.
Media votes agenda, and they vote we have media that vote politics, votes guys politics. I don't like him because of his politics.
We've talked about this before.
That should never be involved.
Kurt Schilling, I'm talking strictly baseball.
Strictly baseball.
Should be in the Hall of Fame.
It should never be involved. Like this is take writers, take media out of it. Let players, executives, them. And let them have a committee that they vote people on to be on the committee. Like they elect their own to be on this committee and let them decide.
And it's rotating.
Yes, and let them rotate on and off.
Yeah.
Sort of like the college football playoff committee.
Very similar.
That way you don't have guys like, oh, man.
I'm voting my...
He's only going to get 20% of the vote in year one, but he'll get 50 in year two. And then he'll get more. Then he'll finally get voted. Like, that's Chase. Chase Utley's getting that, right? Like,
yes, correct.
Oh, man, he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, so I'm not going to vote for him.
Which is
fine. But then
fine.
I'll vote for him in the second year. Like, just vote for him. Yes or no?
I'm not a... It took 7 votes, and now you're a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like sometimes people aren't on that first ballot because there's other people more deserving, and you only get X amount of votes, right? It's not because you don't want to like water it down. I really think this guy should get in. I want to make sure.
Yeah, but there's a lot of guys that don't use all their votes.
Exactly.
Like
so who's that? So they'll just
isn't it Dan O'Shaughnessy?
He refuses to use some.
He only votes for Jeff Kent for like the last 5 years. Like he's used one vote,
and that goes back to John's point about
it's his own thing.
Yeah,
and then it gets him his own column.
And it used to make it like nuanced, like these are writers as you mentioned. They are locked in, and they're locked in on all of baseball. Now everybody's locked. I mean, you can watch anything you want to watch.
Absolutely,
you can watch everything.
And more importantly, it's not the same. I mean, now that's not believe me. I was just talking about Todd Zalecki. Like guys like Zalecki and Gelb and others, I read their stuff every day and love and respect their work.
They're cut from the old school cloth. the Jim Salisburys
There's
of the
a
world.
difference.
Those guys are cut from a different cloth.
There's a difference.
All right, coming up next, we have our key three. We got text messages to read through all the topics. I also have a very random question. I did something yesterday, and I literally took note of it, and I said, I got to bring this up on the air. It's extremely random, like out of left field. But I'm curious to see where you guys fall on this. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Amy Fadul with us for the remainder of the show here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Do you feel unfulfilled? Do your afternoons
Wait, what? You do 133?
Yeah, whatever the last number is, I just don't.
You just like you don't even care.
What? Wait. So I thought I was the weird one for typing 90. You go 133?
Like if it's like says it's 3.5 minutes, that's 333.
You still have to move your finger to the start button. It's not like it just starts.
But see, you don't. If it's 1 minute, you just press the 1 and it goes.
Oh.
1, 2, 3,
all right.
4,
No,
all the way
I
up
don't.
to 5.
I have to hit the start button on mine.
Yeah, see, I don't have to. If as long as it's like a singular number, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minute.
All right, so there's 3 options to the 90 second, depending on what microwave you have. 130, or 4 options if you're Amy 133. 90, or you hit the plus 30 button 3 times.
Oh, no.
No, that's psycho
No,
stuff.
like, who in the world does that?
First of all,
I've done it before.
First of all, we don't have a
Depending
plus.
on my mood.
Yeah,
we don't
yeah,
have
like
a
not
plus
realize
30 button.
I have
yes,
a plus
you do.
30 button.
You have to. Everyone's got a plus. Any microwave built in the last 5 years has that.
Really? I gotta
think so.
look.
You gotta look.
I don't.
Yeah,
pay
you have
that
a new
much
house.
attention.
You
Well,
probably have the plus 30
I like
button.
the 90 because 90 and the 0 is going to be near the start.
And boom, it's done. But
But
how
130
much
would be
time
the same.
Are you guys honestly saving with these button pushing tips on a microwave?
All right, so what, are you the full number, the 130?
I'm a 1-3. Well, I was, but I'm a changed man.
You're 9
because I've been doing the Uncle Ben's ready rice in
Yes.
90 seconds.
Yes, so
And
you
because
put
it says
90.
90 on the package, I've
So
been
you
starting to do
put
the
90.
But only
Yeah.
if it says it on the package. I type exactly what it
You
reads.
type whatever it says.
Exactly
in the
what it
package.
reads.
Yeah, but 90
I'm
and
a rule
130 is
follower.
the same thing.
Yeah, but you don't
Yeah,
type.
but some microwaves run
I don't
hot.
type 130. I would type 90. I would type
Depends.
exactly what
I
was
get
on
what
the
Connor's saying because sometimes you read the directions, you're like, it says a minute and a half, so I'm going to put a minute.
I'm also not a math guy, so it's going to take
was
me a
told
second to
there-
figure out how many seconds
Which
a
is
minute and a
crazy.
half
He was
is.
in the mortgage industry.
They got computers.
Can you imagine the people that got their mortgages?
Well, the computers help.
Now they're paying like 28%.
All right, so we all do it differently. Amy's the weirdest with
Yes.
her 133.
There's people out there that will absolutely put random numbers in there. 134, they just can't do it.
Now, Jay King checks in
Please.
on YouTube. Sorry, YouTube. We've been very busy today. I've
Tell
not,
me there's
I've
another
not read
person out
much.
there.
I apologize. That's on me. Jay King says violation on the instant rice. I disagree. When you're in a pinch, the Uncle Ben's is
Why
big.
is he in a pinch? Why are you
Me?
saying in a pinch?
I'm a busy guy.
He's a busy guy.
How busy are you?
Oh,
He's
I don't want to
hungry
hear
and
it.
he needs his food now.
I don't want to hear it from the room of I can't press this button on the microwave because it takes too much
No, I'm
time.
just saying. I mean, come on. When you're in a pinch, like Connor's like
We're
splitting
shaving
splitting
milliseconds.
Adams after the show,
Well,
and then like
but if you're cooking a meal on the stove that has rice involved and you're so focused on the cooking of whatever meal that it's easier to just throw the instant rice into the microwave. I've done it.
Yeah, it saves me 10 minutes. It takes like 11 minutes to cook rice.
Not unless if you do the 5-minute ready
you
rice.
do 5-minute ready rice.
Well, then I can do 90 seconds.
I'm usually
Let's cut it down as far as we go.
I'm usually a 5-minute ready rice guy, but the Uncle Ben's it's nice sometimes. So I'm with you.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody. Wow, I didn't know I'd get crap for the 90-second ready rice today.
Because when you're in a pinch,
Sometimes you're in a
Yeah,
pinch.
sometimes.
my
sometimes
gosh, I don't
you're
know
in a
what you
pinch.
guys do with your time.
All right,
I'm
don't
in,
don't
like,
worry.
4
You-
sports
don't
Don't
worry.
waste it cooking rice.
So you're anti Uncle Ben's 90-second?
Yes.
Why?
First of all, I don't cook in the microwave. I've told you that one before. Don't.
Well, that's
cook,
why you don't know there's a
don't
plus
cook in the
30.
microwave.
That's a
yes.
good point. Yeah.
Don't cook in the microwave.
What do you
So,
have? Where? What? I'm sorry.
Microwave, you can heat something up in the microwave. Don't cook it in.
Okay. Well,
that's one
the
of
little mac and cheese.
The little, yeah,
Well,
that's
that's
it. Yeah, none of that.
A Coop eats the little mac and cheese a lot. 2.5 minutes. I go
Yeah.
2-3-0 with that one.
It's a,
And I go 2-3-3.
Couldn't even tell you how many seconds 2.5 minutes is.
All right, what do we got in the text line, Connor? We got the key 3 coming up around 9:48. I told you, it was a very random.
was very
question.
random.
Told you. I took note of it yesterday. What do we got?
All right, so we have a lot of people. Well, honestly, our biggest topic today on the text line has been about the conversation with Bryce Harper and Rob Manfred.
Sure.
Drew Schmidt checks in, first-time texter, and says, I could support a salary cap as long as there is a salary floor of at least 50% of the cap, only way to keep the owners honest.
there's going to be a salary floor, just like there is in every other sport. They will never institute a salary cap without a salary floor. That's always part of it. Every other sport has it, and every other sport has thrived under it. And again, the bottom 60% of players in the sport see the biggest rise in their salaries when a salary cap goes in. So it's the bottom 60% of your rosters in the NFL, NHL, and NBA have seen the biggest rise. So their salaries explode compared to the guys at the top who then see their salaries more controlled.
Where do you fall on this, Amy?
Yeah, it's interesting because I definitely like the idea of having some way to incentivize some of these terrible owners to pay their teams. You can't have an A situation in the Rockies and the White Sox, even though they just beat the Phillies, and the Pirates. It brings baseball, the whole product down.
And it does.
It's awful to watch. No one wants to watch that product. Can you imagine watching like a Rockies A's game?
No.
That would be awful. So I like that idea. I don't like the idea of it being mandated by a commissioner without the say of players and owners. I get that he wants to float this. I understand that. I think there's ways to do it. And the thing is, these players are paid a lot, but Bryce Harper makes the same amount as Tobias Harris. So what are we really doing here? Are you just trying to prevent the Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto situation? Is that what you're looking for? Is there another way to do it where you can incentivize some of the owners to pay? And I think maybe it's more about implementing penalties, really, for not taking advantage of all the opportunities, guys that are not paying anybody.
Yeah.
There's no salaries out there.
I want a competitive balance. Now, look, there would still be like tanking. Like Taijuan Walker would have been traded to a team
100%.
that would try to reach the salary
floor, right.
But that's tanking to try to make your team better. You still have to pay.
You're not tanking just to tank.
Right. You're still paying X amount of money. You still have to reach the salary floor. And again, I don't know what's been talked about, but it's not like Bryce Harper's going to all of a sudden lose money. Like they're going to still pay him out his contract.
Yeah, Harper gets his. No one loses their contract that has an existing contract. When there were contracts in the NFL when they went to a salary cap, NBA and NHL. There were existing contracts. They're grandfathered in. They've already done this in 3 pro sports, so nobody loses their money they got. But what's interesting is the big money players in all of those processes always are the ones saying, we'll sit out. We'll go with our contracts. Then when all the players get to vote and they all get their private vote, the players vote for it. Because the guys who aren't making $30 million a year.
Sometimes they do. I mean, we've had lockouts. We had.
They do, but when they vote, like the NFL players, the guys who voted in that lot, but when the players voted on the proposal,
right?
When the NFL players finally got the proposal, it was over. They overwhelmingly voted for the proposal and the guys who were
and the proposal though had changed
from
what they. And I think that's another thing. Like if this is a true negotiation between a union and an overseer organization, in this case the who runs Rob Manfred and the rest of baseball, I think that's where you have to start. The example you're giving is a perfect one because the NFL, this was a number of years ago.
It was 2010.
Yeah, locked out, right?
Yeah.
But the proposal that they brought, which locked him out, completely different. It wasn't just nuanced; it was changed.
Totally different.
So that's where you start at. You just don't want to get to that point. You want to use those examples of like, all right, we've already been down this road. Don't get us to this point. And yes, it is top heavy. You got the Juan Sotos and Mike Trouts and whatever else, and you don't have the Otto Kemps.
And I think they want to get rid of what the Dodgers did,
the deferred money.
Right. I mean,
they want to get rid of that. They want to get.
They have that Betts and Ohtani.
They want to get rid of that and change that, so they want to be able to do that. Which, by the way, adds to competitive balance.
Now I wonder,
address that.
Does fandom, the team that you root for, is that going to determine party lines for fan bases?
Sure.
Because I could make the argument that Phillies fans should not want a salary cap. They are one of the haves in the current system. Yep. They're one of the teams that do pay their players, and you're bringing other teams into your league. Do you think we'll see that?
Well, think of it this way. You got the other 3 teams that we've got operate in a salary cap league, and it's never hurt our football team. It's never hurt our...
It's hurt the hell out of our basketball team.
Just because they spend stupidly.
Yeah, bad contracts.
But we have an owner in the city.
They still pay.
Because if you're in a city that generates a lot of revenue,
right,
where there's a lot of revenue to be had, your owner's willing to spend on all the other things that aren't part of the salary cap.
Yeah, but stupid
spend
money
on coaches, spend
plays
on
for the baseball team. We literally had our owner say it.
I just haven't even... Yeah, I mean, and he does a top 4, top 5 payroll.
Well, as you said earlier, Connor, just develop better. That's all.
Yeah, hey, listen.
Yeah,
it's
no
that
big deal.
simple. All right, we have our key 3. We have people have follow-up questions to the microwave that we'll get to after the key 3. Take a listen.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Now, I want to know if the Phillies were awake yesterday as they walked their way to a loss to the Chicago White Sox, who won game number 39 of the Major League season. We have surpassed 100 games, by the way. White Sox now 39-68. Phillies fall to 60-46. Just 2 days before the trade deadline, Johnny. Good morning. How are we?
You sound really good.
Thanks.
You sound like you're off to a really good start this morning, like in a very good mental place.
Our man who does a tremendous job covering the Eagles, that, of course, Jeff McClain. Jeffrey, good morning.
In terms of the competition, yeah, I mean, it definitely puts a dent into his odds, because he's a rookie, and he's still learning a lot, and anytime not on the field practicing, I think he's going to miss probably this first day in pads, is my expectation. That makes it more difficult to go out there and win the competition. Again, depends how long he'll be out. Definitely a leg up for Sidney Brown. But, I think the Eagles want to, obviously give both of those the opportunity. But, if neither really steps up to the fore, that could be a position that Howie Roseman looks to upgrade via trade.
You asked if I was more excited or anxious about the trade deadline. My answer is extremely anxious. Extremely anxious.
Really?
Yes, and it has nothing to do with what took place last night with all of the trade candidates, which we will get to in the following segment. I'm anxious because what have I been saying for months now, Connor? This team...
Trade all the prospects.
This team is not good enough to win the World Series. And it has nothing to do with just last night's game. It's just my feel and what I know about this team and the lack of pop from the right side, the way this lineup is constructed, this bullpen being trash. This team is a couple pieces away from being a World Series contender. And I'm sitting here waiting to see if Dave Dombrowski makes those moves. Does he part ways with prospects? Does he think twice and not part ways with prospects? These guys that we thought would become bullpen arms that were starting pitchers like Andrew Painter and Mick Abel, I don't know if that's a part of their plan anymore. Jesus Luzardo can't pitch out of the stretch. Let's put him into the bullpen. There's a lot of things that I am worried about that Dave Dombrowski might all of a sudden go, you know what? I have your solution, Austin Hayes, or a player of that sort of ilk. Like, I need more than Austin
or ilk.
Sorry, I need more than Austin Hayes. I need more than Michael Lorenzen. Like, I need a lot for this Phillies team to actually be legitimate World Series contenders, and that's why I'm anxious about it. From the MLB Network, does play-by-play, host shows, and he knows what it's like to work with John Kincade.
Oh, yes, he does.
That's Greg Caserta. Greg, good morning, man. How you doing?
I think you can win a series with those top three guys in your rotation. I think if your 1 through 5 in the order gets going at the right time, and that's really what it's all about. We say it every year. You got to get hot during the playoffs. That group can carry you. Truly. I think 1 through 5 in that lineup can win you a series, but I also think that bullpen can lose you a series.
God, I'm anxious about this because I wonder what they're going to do. Something that I've been preaching for a while. This team's not good enough to be like, yep, they're a World Series team. No, they're not. They're not. You watch them night in, night out. You've watched them for 4 months now. You've gotten to see April, May, June, July. You know they are not good enough. And if you're watching them and you're telling me that you think they're good enough with what you've seen, you're lying to yourself. They're a 2-man rotation right now, sometimes 3. We're hoping Rangers, it'll all come together. It'll all stretch. It'll be beautiful. If it's Ranger, Suarez, Wheeler, we think we have the best 3. I think we have the best 3. I think that could be the best 3 if that goes that way. That's awesome. So if you've got 3, you think you've got something. But with this lineup, I don't think you got it. And there are ways you could potentially make them better.
All right, that's the key 3 best minutes from today's show. John Kincaid's microwave does have the add
My wife sent the
30-second
picture.
button on the mic.
I sent her a text.
And even you looked at it, you're like, it's not on here. I'm like, yeah, it is.
I look at it, so my wife sent the picture.
All right, a couple of questions on our YouTube chat regarding the microwave discussion. Neil was wondering, when you put something in the oven, do you set a timer on the microwave or on the oven?
No, on the oven.
I don't set it on either of those things.
I do the Google Home.
Yeah, I have an Alexa. That's what I do. I just shout out to her, like, set a timer for 30 minutes.
The oven
and
has
I'll
a
check
timer.
Yeah.
It does.
But
so does my phone. But
I say to the Google device.
I know a lot of people subscribe to the microwave timer. I think that's
I do the
weird.
microwave.
I'm not even participating with the microwave. Why am I?
I go microwave timer over
The device you're using has a timer, so why are you using a second device to put a timer on?
I'm not pressing anything.
easier
I'm
up
just
here.
telling the lady in the sky to time
The
it.
oven timer, I have to reach over. And what if it's hot?
That's true, yeah.
What if there's something cooking on the stove?
What is
I
this
just have to go up
elaborate
here.
meal that you're making?
Okay, you guys are weird.
You got to keep the appliances
I made
guessing.
some Marry Me chicken yesterday. It was delightful.
You're already married.
Here's another one.
Okay.
I can't find who said it. I apologize. I took note of it, though. Do you ever stop the microwave before it hits 0 because you don't want to hear the beep? That is me.
I'm telling you, my microwave, we just got a new one not that long ago. It only gives you one
We get
beep.
one beep.
Oh, my God. I get
life-changing.
multiple
we get
beeps.
one beep.
That's why you had to go yank it.
Yeah.
And I did it the first time, and for whatever reason, I was away from this was maybe a year ago, and all of a sudden I hear it go off and beep, and I'm like running over, like no.
Then it's
Oh, yeah.
stopped.
I do whatever I
it'll
can.
beep me again, like in a minute.
In like
or
a
whatever.
minute, right? If you
But that's
leave it in there and you haven't
One
touched
beep.
it,
It's
it'll
like,
give you another beep later.
But I stop
done.
it. I don't want
because you don't want it to go beep beep.
I don't
beep.
wanna
Yeah,
hear
mine
it.
sounds like an Amber Alert. I need to get a new microwave.
I swear the makers of microwaves got on. They're like, we have to make it 1 one beep now.
Don't allow any Amber Alerts in Matt LaFleur's press conferences.
Oh, yes, he gets very upset.
He'll get upset with you.
His eyebrow waxing gets delayed. Hey, Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors made a donation to the AACR, the American Association for Cancer Research, and you can too. Go to 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives.
Amy, you're the best. Thank you
Thanks
as always.
Thanks, Amy. Always fun.
Quick show today.
I'll see you Friday.
Yep.
I'm here tomorrow.
That's right.
You're a Friday and Monday.
10 to
for me.
2.
10 to 2 tomorrow.
Tomorrow, 6 to 10, Friday and Monday for John.
There you
Looking
go.
forward to it. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Mike Missanelli Show coming your way next with the return of Ray Dunn. Talk to you guys tomorrow here on 97.5 The Fanatic.